equivalent to what Nigerians are paying for gas or paying for fuel in Nigeria. So I'm thinking about, I'm saying, man, that sucks, man. Nigerians are getting screwed big time because, I mean, realistically, okay, so a minimum wage earner in the US, I'm talking about a person that, works in Mickey D's or McDonald's or Burger King flipping burgers, makes 80 times as much money as the minimum wage, person makes about $100,000, $100,000 naira a month. So if you're in Nigeria and you're making 100,000 naira a month, the person that is the minimum wage earner in the United States that is flipping burgers is making 80 times more money than you do. But at the same time, the person is paying the same amount of gas for their car and vehicle as you. So just imagine how, it doesn't even make sense. Nigerians are getting shafted in the most brutal fashion. And they're just taking it without complaint. It just doesn't even make any sense. And I'm thinking about it, and I'm like, I'm thinking to myself, I said, first of all, when you have the leadership, and I've heard a lot of mixed submissions over the last couple of hours, and everybody is correct. You guys made some great, wonderful points. But if you have a leadership where the sane citizens vacated responsibility for the worst and worst of us, you are never going to have a productive society. And I just, it just kind of blows me back when I think about the oil and gas. And a couple of days ago, you were talking about the oil and gas, and I was trying to kind of draw a parallel. See, how is it that the United States, countries like the United States, countries like the UK, countries like advanced Western, Western nations are constantly innovating. They are constantly creating value, not just for the business community, but also for the citizens. So you all know that, okay, with oil and gas is just a simple industry. You just have oil trapped in the formation, and it cannot be trapped in sandstone or what you call sandstone and limestone. And what happens is that those sandstone and limestone contain pores. And those pores inside the sandstone and limestone are connected. Okay, those are connected. So as long as you have connected pores, and those pores contain crude oil. So all you do is you just dig a hole, get to the pores, and start making sure that the oil in the pores are flowing from one pore to the other until it gets to the surface. That's all it is. And you can only do that when you have limestone and sandstone. But you know what happened a while back? Because the country, incentivized innovation. And they found out that a lot of draft oil that are contained in pores that are not connected. So ordinary sandstone, you see, those pores are connected to other pores, and the oil flows from one place to another, and it's easy. You produce, everybody's happy. But you find out that a large portion of subsurface crude oil are trapped, and the pores are not connected. So this guy, George P. Mitchell, who happens to be the father of oil and gas in the United States, came up with this technology that is able to fracture those rocks that contains oil that are trapped in the pores.
You're talking about fracking.
Exactly, fracking. You took me to exactly fracking. So guess what? Fracking created a whole new industry in the United States and a whole new economic value chain.
Got you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of like this. Like it did something like that.
I forgot we have a lot of engineers on this place.
Enhanced recovery.
I do have a background.
Okay. Let me listen. What this guy say? What's this guy?
This is petroleum engineering.
Enhanced oil recovery. So me, I did with surfactants.
Let's go.
Okay.
So surfactants, alkaline and polymer was what I combined to create a sludge where I will put an injection well. To flush out the water. You understand? To flush out the oil that can't be removed by natural means.
Okay, but what of the pores are not connected? They're not permeable.
I know they're interconnected pores.
like in
so
shale.
okay, those ones now, you have what we call gas injection as well.
Okay.
You understand?
Yeah,
So-
gas injection on the EOR.
But if
Yeah,
you inject the gas and you still have the isolated pores, how do you force the crude oil to get from one pore to the other and be able to be produced in the crude
if,
oil?
if EOR doesn't do that, maybe we have to look at artificial lifting methods.
Okay.
So
You look at-
and
look at
and
fracking.
that is my own area of specialty there, especially let's use submersible pumps.
Exactly.
and
Submersible pumps.
technology.
Where you
Yeah.
can produce the crude oil when the bottom hole pressure has
Yeah, but on whole pressure, and they have, again, sometimes I still think that a lot of wells that have already been abandoned here, I think in future the technology will deepen a little bit more with fracking, because the fracking becomes so good. Then with the ESPs, like if you come to the side of West Texas, right?
yes,
It's mostly unconventional.
yes, unconventional.
It's mostly ESPs, artificial lift system, and some of them get to produce for another 3, 4, 5 years.
Yes,
You
good
know,
production,
without-
good production.
Well, I'm talking about good production. Some of them is 4,000 barrels a day, and sometimes you're using almost like 6,000 barrels per day pump,
Yes.
and huge pump, and still produce. Even some of them that you think over here they will just be flaring gas and
And
gas.
gas.
They still find a way to produce it without flaring so much gas. And if they have to bring some compressors and all the rest of them,
Because the gas,
you have
I don't know if the gas is being flared in the US. I've not been to any facility. I mean, most of
they do. They have the facilities have to get to a point where they have no option, because you pay a huge fine for how much you flare, and you can't lie about it. It's something. So they do, and it's almost like a
Wait,
last resort.
sorry, why are we flaring the one we can do recovery? When I confuse me now. Why would we ever flare?
So the thing is, in addition to what this guy said, sometimes when these oils are trapped, we can always acidize them. Acidize them.
you can inject the gas back into the well.
Yeah, or you can use proppants where we fire sound rock formations or horizontal drilling. Understand? As for the flaring, it's I don't really necessarily know why, because people put it into use. You understand?
Yeah.
There are countries where that gas being flared is put.
I really that's why I said that I was part of the acquisition of a company that was actually that is into trading, gas trading, commodity trading, and most of the produced gases all across the United States are traded using Henry Hub. Go Google Henry Hub. Henry Hub is a clearinghouse. NYMEX, New York Exchange. New York NYMEX. I don't know meaning, but NYMEX is a transaction platform that allows you to buy gas for all across the United States. So flaring, I don't know. I'm not. Maybe I must have missed out a few facilities, but I really don't know facilities in the United States where there is flaring. Instead, I know that there's an active commodity market for natural gas.
Flaring is mostly because of pressure. It's not because they can't, because of the pressure.
Okay.
If you
Yeah,
can't
but-
handle the pressure,
but it's not constant. It's just a temporary fix for a situation. Okay, but it's not like Nigeria where we part of the production, you'll be flaring perpetual and perpetuating, where Nigeria does not innovate. So in fact, the point I'm trying to make is this, and the point I'm trying to make is this, is that when you Google George P. Mitchell, George P. Mitchell came out a while back and came out with the fracking, the whole technology of fracking. And why am I mentioning this? Before now, or before even people like us, were born, there was no place like Woodlands. Okay? But George P. Mitchell, because of his invention, he created brand new industries, and these brand new industries now developed an entire city, one of the most expensive cities north of Houston, that's called Woodlands, where the ExxonMobil headquarters are, all the headquarters of all the oil companies. Those are, Sea King and King Morris, Woodlands, Texas. So in fact, they call George P. Mitchell the father of Woodlands. So the point I'm trying to make is this: when you have a society that works, the citizens are incentivized to begin to innovate, create opportunities, not just for businesses, but also for the citizens. And you don't even need the government to begin to, realistically, what the government needs to do is to create a conducive environment. Here in the US, sometimes I just wonder, I've been in, situations where you see my colleagues going above and beyond. When I newly came to the United States, when I'm working with people and I'm doing this and I'm doing that, you see people that, people in the United States, people that that I met, colleagues, they always go above and beyond their actual responsibility. You see them putting that 200% of effort in everything they do. And sometimes you see, wow, I'm coming from Nigeria, and people don't really put in that much effort, because I transferred from Nigeria. People just do the bare minimum just to get the paycheck. But here in the US, people go above and beyond. And over time, I begin to see that there is so much value in going above and beyond, because it makes society better. When you are going above and beyond, the next man is going above and beyond, everybody goes above and beyond. And because of that, it's collective, it creates collective value. And I want to sort of export it to a situation when I was in my MBA class at University of Houston. So I was, I was president of the students of the MBA of the student union. So during that time, I because I had begun to notice that people in the United States, they value good ideas, things that ordinarily when I go from the US, when I travel to Nigeria to say, okay, let me introduce this, let me bring this company, let me introduce the opportunity, let me do this. People don't care to listen to you. People don't care. People only want, give me bribe, or your idea is a no-show, it's a no-go. Every time, more than a dozen times, I brought, whether it's gas opportunities, gas production, gas reduction, whether it's, they keep shutting it down, asking for bribe. But conversely, here in the US, when they hear good ideas, you find out that they say, okay, how about we meet next week? I'll introduce you to 5 guys that will be interested in what you're talking about. Before you know, you walk into the office and you see a boardroom of people that are willing to listen to you. And before you know, they bring you in and you guys begin to create value, create a product, create a service. Contrast, and I've gone through so many times here in the US, and it's so disheartening that in Nigeria, our leadership are incentivized to kill very ideas and make sure that those ideas, those value, those opportunities, those creativity that people are trying to birth or bring to life, they don't see the light of day. Is their intention, their incentives to kill it and bury it.
So, gospel is not just killing if you as a human being, if you are in the way, they won't just kill your skills, they will kill other, you yourself. Because we had there's an example I have to tell you. Somebody who ran into politics, we have to talk that this guy who was one of the biggest guy from Nigeria, that one of the champions of cybersecurity, okay, and wrote a proposal to kind of digitize our prison system, and all this kind of thing. And this guy in politics was like, this is good. Took him to the people. Do you know his proposal? The guy in Nigeria here who brought him left that project for his life. Okay?
Wow.
Then this guy in London, I think he was still in University of East London that time, was a prof and was called to come and implement his own project while working under someone from a certain ethnic region owns his project, his proposal.
Wow.
His proposal. And he said, I wrote this. You want me to come because you don't know what I did. You don't know what it is. You're only taking my own project just because you don't know how to. You want me to come and you and the guy who brought him is like, no, I left it for my life. That's how bad it is. And I'm telling you this and this is somebody I relate with from time to time. I know him personally. This guy, because of his refuse, several opportunities. Okay, why don't you come back home and teach? He said, okay, I can do online, teach people for free. Come back with this kind of experience. No.
They will never. Their incentive is to make sure that anything that will bring value, that will improve the lives of Nigerians, does not get implemented. I mean, it is so.
Mr. Gospel, I want to correct something here. Sorry, but continue. You cannot start a gas station. You cannot start an oil well without a gas flaring. You cannot. The only difference now is the volume of gas you're flaring. That's where liquefied natural gas comes. So you can go on. I worked in the oil and gas industry for about 13 years. I was
what's the why? What's the why? We don't hear the how. What's the why?
You say you cannot start what? You say you cannot start what without doing what?
You cannot start a rig without flaring gas.
Oh no, you got it wrong. It's not all formation. It depends on the formation you're drilling. You might be drilling a purely crude oil formation, and that one you don't have to flare gas.
There is no well that does not have a mixture of both crude and gas.
I think because at that pressure, some of the liquid would what's the word for it?
Okay, no. Listen. If you're drilling a horizontal well, okay, you might pierce the horizontal well through a flood. Okay, hold on. You can drill a horizontal well through a fault line that directly cuts into the crude oil without going through a gas stop. You can drill through.
There is no well that you can drill that does not have a combination of gas and crude. No well.
But you don't have to produce gas. You don't have to produce the gas. You don't have to produce gas.
The only difference is the volume of gas as compared to the volume of crude. That makes it an oil well. Please listen. That makes it an oil well or a gas well.
But when you say that you have to put a rig, listen, when you say that before you put a rig, you must have a flare gas, that is totally wrong.
Before
you can put a rig without having a flare gas. You enter the well.
Give me a minute. I want to hear his why though. Why do you say you say the how? Say the why. Yeah, go ahead now.
Okay.
What's the why?
The reason is this. Like I said, there will always be oil, crude, and gas in every well. But the difference is gas well and oil well. When the volume of gas is more than oil, like in Ogoni has a rich bed of gas wells. It's more than gas, then it's a gas well. But when the volume of crude is more than the volume of gas, it becomes a gas well, a crude well. That's taking into consideration. As you're drilling, what brings out what gives the crude that initial push is the gas, the pressure in the gas. Now, for you to, it's like you want to drill crude. Your main purpose is crude. When you open the Christmas tree, you line up the well. When you line up the well, the separation chamber, please hear me out. When you line up the well to the different separation chambers, there must be gas trapped in the separation chamber. These gases will be fled off to reduce the pressure of the well, because your separation is by sedimentation. The main separation vessels that we have. Your separation is by sedimentation, where you have water.
Okay. So you're talking about something completely different. You're talking about something completely different. When you're talking about gas oil ratio, that is If
Yeah,
so,
that's what I'm talking about.
Wait,
hey, you're talking about gas oil ratio. That's
what he said,
that's
what
not different.
he said, what he said after
If you produce gas, if you produce crude oil, every crude oil that is surface contains a mixture of gas molecules inside it.
Well, yes, they are called associated gas, like he
Well,
said.
but you don't have to have a flaring when you put a rig. You can
You don't have
separate. You can separate
That is
the
all.
gas
That's what we are
oil
talking about.
in the
That is what
surface.
I think he needs to understand that there are different types of separators. They depending on the phases you meet. Two-phase separator
You
and
don't flare.
three-phase separator. You understand? So if you have two-phase, definitely
Oga,
the way
that
this
well that
things
you that well that you have done,
the way
that
these
you
things
mounted a
are, the
Christmas
way these
tree.
things
The
are,
Christmas tree started listen
now.
to me. Please listen. That well that you have, that you dug, you planted a Christmas tree on the wellhead, and you're channeling the flow lines to your subscriptions. It will carry
Manifold,
gas.
or your manifold, yeah.
It will carry gas.
Okay,
And
okay.
listen,
Let me
please, listen, let me
I've
finish.
drilled.
Let
I've drilled more than 200,000 wells in the United States. I'm talking about from California to New York to Pittsburgh to North Dakota, South Dakota. More than 200,000 wells. And in this period, I have never, when I put my location, I never flared gas when I'm drilling. I never flared gas when I'm drilling. Till I drill, I test the hole, I perforate, and I put my production string. I never flare. So for you to even come here and say that you flare gas before you put a rig or when you put a rig, that is fallacious because 200,000 wells I've drilled in the United States. I have never flared gas when I am drilling a well, even when I put my production string and I cement my production string in place. I never flared the gas, and that's what I'm trying to make. When you produce your gas,
Okay.
I don't think we
Yeah.
get
Please, sir.
into this.
How long are we going to stay in the classroom?
Please let me
so let me finish.
let me correct something here, please. Please, please, sir. No, I think he does not understand what I am saying.
You don't put a rig with a flare. You don't say
Oga,
before you put a rig, you must have a flare. That's what you first say. And I said, no,
I say for
you
you
don't
to
put
have
a
a
rig with a
gas.
flare.
Oga, please listen, sir. And that,
Okay.
I think you're missing my point, please. And I thank God that I tried to explain the process. Drilling a wellhead and sealing the wellhead has nothing to do with harvesting oil or gas from the well through a manifold to separator. That is a later stage. It is when you are
putting a rig, drilling. I'm talking about drilling, drilling.
For brother, if you drill a rig, a wellhead, and seal it up, you have not harvested the product.
But you said you have to
But
flare.
I'm telling
You said you must
for
flare
you
before you
to-
put a rig.
I
You said
did
you
not
must
say
flare
that. I
before
said
you
for
put a rig.
you to run a fuel station, you must flare gas.
I'm inside production area. Let's my brother. I don't think you're completely wrong because that's your methodology here. Maybe in Nigeria, okay. I have worked on production wells, so I can't count it. As we speak, I monitor, I do some of the optimization of production wells over 2,000 wells. Okay. And sometimes in a week, I look at more than 600 wells. Okay. What they are doing. So when you come to generalize, the typical example of the methodology is when last year, 2 years ago, I took a trip and I went to Obi with a location area. As we are going passing the road, when passing the road, you feel the heat of the flare. My brother, you can't do that in the United States.
You can't do that. You can't do that.
I agree.
You can't do that.
Listen to me. I agree with you. I totally agree.
Let me finish. You have a TLR. When you have the well, you go by your gas liquid ratio, your TLR. Now your gas level is high. When it becomes so pressurized, some of them you have, even when we finish, before we start producing or using ESP, you let them free flow. They are free flowing. You understand? Some of them, when you get pressurized, you already built a system that you can bend. Okay, you can flex. And again, you can also use some bypasses and all the rest of them to control
God
the
will bless
pressure.
you that you mentioned the word flare. But I did say here that the issue now is the volume of gas that you flare. The
I
issue,
can't say you cannot protect the well without flaring. I can tell you that you have
Oga,
to, in United States,
listen,
have to.
listen.
Flare
You
at
you are all
least
just
as
you just jumping at me. I think it is semantics that we are talking about now.
Listen,
What we're talking about now
I'm
is
currently
semantics.
producing multiple wells in West Texas, and none of the
Brother,
wells we have not flaring any of the wells. I'm
whether
currently
you
producing
are
multiple wells in
whether
West
you're
Texas,
produ-
and I'm not flaring of the wells.
whether you're
I'm not
producing
flaring. I'm not
multiple wells
flaring.
or one well, listen to me.
I'm not
Whether you're
flaring.
producing
No, I'm not flaring.
Jehovah,
No, I'm not flaring.
Guys, sorry,
excuse me,
guys, hold on, guys, hold on. Let's
listen.
establish something because I think Tem, please
Whether
calm down,
you're producing multiple,
calm down for a bit, man. So we don't enter into a rabbit hole. Let's establish a few things, right? Tem, do you believe that there are people who have achieved zero routine flaring in the world anywhere when they are producing right
no,
now? I think you believe. No, you say no.
no, I don't believe, but you have to understand what I'm saying.
Okay,
No,
listen, he's
hold
a
on.
liar. He's
The
a liar. He's a
Nigerian
liar.
Hold on,
sector,
Tem,
He's a liar. He's a
Tem,
liar.
hold
He's a
on, guys,
liar.
hold on, guys,
West Texas, I can go and take a
hold on
video
now.
of this I'm producing. Not fair.
Yeah, guys, please hold on, guys, please
now
hold
hear
on.
me out
Guys,
now.
please hold on now. Hold on.
Hear me out.
I think yes, Tem, but we'll hear you out. Just hold on. Question I want to ask is, do you consider flaring to be where we catch the gas or we capture the gas and then we compress it and export it? Do you consider that to still be flaring if we redirect it somewhere else?
That cannot be flaring. That cannot be flaring.
So hold on. Your definition of flaring is the one where we let it out and we burn it. That's what you're saying.
Yes, that is what flaring is.
And you are saying, hold on. And you are saying that there is nobody that has achieved zero routine flaring.
That's not true now. Come on.
Now, listen.
That's
For
not,
you
you
to
can't
have,
be
for
saying
you to
that.
have,
You
listen,
cannot be saying that.
listen.
That's not true.
For you
This
to
is a
have,
fucking liar. He's a fucking liar. He's a fucking liar.
hello, please.
I said, well, give me a few days.
Don't
I'll go and
insult
take a
yourself.
video.
Hello, please. Don't
I'll go
insult
and take a video
yourself.
of my two wells. Of two wells.
guys.
We are having a conversation.
Hold on, guys. You know, just when he was speaking, I actually worked for DOGA, which is the Railway Regulatory Commission. Or is that what they call it in Texas? You know, so which is like the government agency that regulates the industry. So yeah, exactly.
That's correct.
So I think it's in Texas. It's called the Railway Commission of Texas.
Yeah, Texas.
The Honorable Linda Sumeri Stewart has just laid before this August Assembly a notice of allegations of gross misconduct brought pursuant to Section 188 of the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria as amended 1999.
Produce a well. I mean, in my career at the time, I mean, I cannot tell you how many wells we went through even before the well was shut in. You know, it's impossible for you to be saying that you cannot produce without flaring.
But you people have not even heard what I am saying. Somebody's calling me a liar. He's talking you on speech. I should
something that is fundamentally incorrect
now.
now.
You should expect me not to insult you back.
Wait, no,
guys, calm down. Never reach now.
Hold on. Okay, problem.
Don't let our enemies laugh at us. Don't let our enemies laugh at us.
You know,
You heard him insult me there. If I call you a fucking liar, what will you say?
Can I say something?
Please let me just say this. Please, can you hear me?
Hold on. No, hold on.
In
Listen, hold on,
Nigeria.
guys.
Sorry.
Guys,
The guy
hold
in
on now.
Nigeria.
Mr. Moses, Jesus, calm down.
I've been listening. Can I say something? Can I?
King Morris, calm down. Let's go one after the other, right? A simple question. You just give your response, yes or no, and say your why. One after the other. King Morris, we'll start with you. King Morris,
Okay.
do you believe
I
there
think-
are people who are... Yeah, King Morris, calm down now. Calm down.
Okay.
Do you believe... Because if we live in a, you carry us go in that place. Do you believe there are people who are producing right now anywhere in the world that have achieved zero routine flaring? Yes or no?
It's possible. It's possible.
No, it's possible. Good. Okay, it's possible.
Yes.
Go ahead and tell us why you think it's possible, and then we'll move the mic.
The confusion is, people trying to distinguish flaring from venting, gas venting and gas flaring.
It's about to go down.
They didn't mention venting.
Hold on. I asked them that question directly. No.
Okay.
No problem. Tomorrow is coming. You brought a new one for us. So, question now for you, right? You believe that we are achieving without flaring, but we cannot do without venting. Maybe in the case of an emergency, as pressure relief, Abi. That's your stand. So it doesn't get too rowdy. Am I with you? Am I not with you? Which one is it? Tomorrow is on mute now. Be person mute, and I didn't hit the mute button.
Yeah, venting is the thing I think venting is one we can't do without, but flaring,
we can do without flaring. Thank you.
Yeah.
More go to the next question. Seeking.
Also, it depends on your GLR. There are certain wells that are very less problematic that I have produced that you don't even need to vent. Okay.
Yes. No, seeking.
Mostly high water content wells. Again, sometimes even this gas we are talking about, even high gases, you can use your. But sometimes we tell the pumpers go there and put some back pressure to compress the gas back into solution so that you can produce this. All these things we're saying flaring. I mean, our culture of flaring
reinjecting back into the reservoir. But just hold on, Seeking. What I'm trying to distill the argument down to a basic sentence. So we can just move. That's what I'm trying to do. Because all this, if we leave somebody, the person will say one topic sentence and then run off with supporting sentences. That's what I don't want us to do. Question then would be, still the same question. Do you believe there are people somewhere producing in the world right now that have achieved zero routine flaring? With the word we've been using has been flaring. Okay, question for you, Seeking, please. You just tell us what you believe and why you believe what you believe.
What do you mean by zero routine flaring? Is it the whole of the oil well or certain oil well?
The project itself, right? The project with all the wells that are there, they've achieved zero routine flaring. They do not flare routinely.
We call it in Augusta. We know that because of the directional drilling and the unconventional well we call it a pad because you can have 6 wells, 20 wells in the same pad. So you have pads that you have never flared. You don't want to flare because you're paying for it. It's expensive to flare. As an operator, you don't want to flare. That's just the fact. But
temp has dropped. I wanted to really ask him the question because I think he's the only one that is disagreeing so far. Well, let me ask Mr. Moses first.
No,
Mr. Moses.
It's a question to come back.
Oh, it's a question again. Please bring him up here because it's him I wanted to ask next. Because now we've brought in venting as well. So let's actually. It's a basic statement. The reason I'm saying because
let's do this for another thing, Mark, 30 minutes, and then get back.
No, you know, we will reach. He no ever reach. That's why I'm trying to simplify the argument, right? Because if you leave him professional, they will take us to a far place.
We want to lose our stakeholders. And
definitely. So, Mr. Temp, we're trying to keep it very simple. Do you believe there are any producing projects right now that are operating as zero routine flaring? They don't do zero routine flaring. I didn't say vent, I said zero flaring. Again, if you say yes or no, you tell us why you believe it. Mr. Moses, please come now. You go after Mr. Temp. Mr. Temp, please go ahead. Zero routine flaring, sir. Any project anywhere in the world whatsoever we're using right now. I don't know if you can hear me.
For me to give you a no answer, you all missed my point.
So don't be offended. Can you explain what you mean by flaring in your explanation? What does flaring mean?
Okay, now see. For you to start up a well and run
No,
the
no,
well to the
sorry,
production
Tem, don't
line.
be offended. Tem, there's no time. Tem, there's no time.
And
Just
I will make it
what is
short.
flaring?
I will make
No,
it short.
Tem, I beg now.
Flaring is when
I'm
you
begging
burn
you.
off gases.
Tem,
Flaring is when
okay,
you burn off gases.
burn it. So it's
You have
different
a-
from
You have a
venting.
flare tap. You
Yeah,
can
so it's
burn it
different
off by
from.
venting. You don't just push. No, it's not. It's not different. You have a
So
flare
if
tap
I vent gas, hold on. If I vent a gas and I don't burn it, am I still flaring?
Okay, you cannot push that natural gas into the atmosphere. You must burn it off.
No, I'm just asking a question. I'm asking a question because I have experience. Hold on, I have experience with tankers, right? And then we have certain pressure release valves that we use to release the crude oil vapors. I understand what you're saying. I'm just asking you a question. Hold on, just calm down now. I'm asking you a direct question. If I release, yes, you say I cannot, but if I release that gas out into the atmosphere without setting it on fire, am I venting or am I flaring?
Are you talking of in a fuel station or in a tanker?
Man, it's a time.
The fact that you didn't burn it means you
your
vented.
tanker, you're venting because you are using the pressure release valve.
In the
you use it
as well when you don't burn. When you open a valve and let
Mr.
it go out.
Mr. Penn, you're doing me dirty here, man.
Are you talking about which is common, which you can vent anyhow? There are some gases you can vent anyhow, and you have a regulation that you can vent.
Okay, so let me summarize what I was saying. What brought this topic? Let me summarize what I'm saying. What brought this topic? And I'm going to summarize it in just less than 2 minutes, okay? Or in fact, 1 minute. Here is the thing. I worked for about 3 years in Nigeria in oil and gas in Schlumberger, and I drilled a whole bunch of wells, both onshore and offshore, both within River State, Warri, Niger Delta, all over the place, okay? And here is the problem that I always experienced when I was working in Nigeria. Every time I approach any facility, they're always flaring. But that's not even the problem. The problem is that as you drive closer and closer to the facility, the heat, the temperature, atmospheric temperature starts elevating, starts escalating, and you begin to see some of the ecological degradation. The closer you get to the facility, the ecological degradation becomes more intense. Whether it's the fauna or foliage within the area, the trees, you see them begin to degrade. And these things are happening because we have the worst of the worst in leadership that are not paying attention to this ecological devastation happening.
NMDPRA don't know their fucking job. The Nigerian mainstream upstream.
I'm going to summarize this real quick.
They rip out their time and get right.
And I'm going to summarize this real quick, okay? I've worked in California. I've worked in the Elk Hills, in California. I've worked everywhere in the United States. And for every situation, I might have seen maybe flaring maybe once or twice. It is almost non-existent. And there's a requirement by the Texas Railroad Commission that once you finish drilling, once you finish operating within a location, you make sure that you leave it as it was before you started. So it is in pristine condition. Even the farmers, because usually when you go to drill on land locations, you drill in ranches, in people's ranches in the middle of nowhere. You are expected to have those ranches, even if it is not public land, it is private land. You must remediate the environment as close as much as possible.
If you don't, they will slam you with it.
They will finish you.
Yeah, you're done.
I had a situation. I'm going to round up with this real quick.
You think you need profit, but it's not calculated at this point.
And I round up with this real quick. I round up with this real quick. So I had a dream a couple of years ago, but that was almost 10 years ago, in West Texas. I hit a water reservoir that was so high pressure. I started getting water flow. And just water flow, not oil flow, water flow. And you know that it took us about a week to be able to control the water, plug back, cement and all that. But because the water came out from the subsurface and it came out to the farmland, do you know that we spent close to $10 million remediating that land that the water came from subsurface to the surface because of the salt and because of some of the contents that was in the water. And even today, saying that as the water filtered into the neighboring river or something like that, we had to spend extra $5 million to be able to restore that river, clean it up as much as possible before we're able to get the sign of approval. So when I think of these things and experience these things, it just drives me crazy when I had experienced complete devastation of communities and ecological systems in Nigeria, and nobody gives a fuck. Because we have leaders that have collected and pocketed huge sums of money, and they don't care how the communities are devastated. Their fish farming, their fish, those ones that depend on fisheries or fishing for their life have been wiped off. The farmers that plant and cultivate completely devastated. Let me tell you something. Bad leadership doesn't only affect you and me on the spaces. It affects our grandma, our grandpa, those people in the village, those people that are depending on the land, on their fish, on their fishing to be able to survive. It devastates, it impacts everybody. And the earlier we get this right, the better for us. Thank you.
Yeah, can I say something?
All right, real quick, because I want to move on. I want to get back on track.
Okay, yeah. So in fact, I am struggling, but I'm listening to this. But the guy, our brother in Nigeria, please, I want to beg you. I spent 17 years working in oil and gas industry in Nigeria. But when you come, I have also worked in the UK in oil and gas before I left oil and gas. Please, when you come to this kind of setting, what we do in Nigeria, actually, flaring gas in Nigeria is breaking of the law. But it is cheaper for companies in Nigeria to flare the gas because the fine is so small than to recover it. So let's not argue. When I work in the UK and all that, as our brothers in the US is saying, there are millions or thousands of oil wells that are produced without flaring one. Every gas, whether associated gas or not associated gas, can be recovered. When you are doing your separation, it can easily be recovered. And what you're hearing is true. Please don't argue. In Nigeria, the flaring is because we have a lousy system which does not penalize. So the oil majors know because it's costly to recover gas. So they are willing to pay that little stipend and also grease the hand of officials and move on. So it is true. I would just want to say, let's not argue on this place and say you must flare. You mustn't flare. There are thousands. You know that look at it in Nigeria, we don't have power, but we are flaring gas. So that's just all I want to say. Please don't argue. What you're hearing here is true. We are flaring because we don't have a system that is working. Don't argue. You can recover your gas, whether something I did petroleum and gas processing, you can recover 100%. It's only when you are doing your completion and you are doing those initial inner systems, when you are doing all those things, you want to burn off those ones that came out during your completion. When you are playing immediately, when you will go into production, my brother, you don't need to flare. Our system is making us up. Thank you.
Judo, please, can you give me 30 seconds to draw this back to your topic? Then, that was actually the reason why I came up.
I think I have a right to reply.
Hold on. Let them get his passport in a beg. Because I still think we've misunderstood it because he sounds experienced. So, I beg, coagulate, man.
Okay. Yes, I agree to the fact that the Nigerian government or the Nigerian leadership has really messed up in the MOUs they signed for the big five, Shell, Total, Ajib, and Chevron, and so. There are a lot of gaps and a lot of harm that it has done to our society. And I also agree that there are developments or improvement in technology that will require you to not continue flaring. But in Nigeria, even when the rig is producing, even when the flow station is producing, gas flaring continues. That one is the truth. And that should not be so. But what I'm saying, and I will stand by it anywhere, if you like, I've done 1 billion wells everywhere. Immediately you start production, you must flare. But the flaring is should be within a permissible point by the authority that is responsible in a standard regulatory body. Immediately you pass that, you start paying for every. There is something they call it. You pay for the amount of gases that you flare to the atmosphere. You don't flare them through a valve. You flare them through a flare stack. That is why in every rig you have a flare stack. You can be running a flow station and the well starts producing for you to restart. But when you have finished flaring and you have started separating, you stop. And it's at that point that you now channel the gas through a trunk line to a high pressure container that stores it and then take it to LNG for it to be liquefied. I have not worked in any oil and gas industry in any other part of the world. It doesn't mean that you know what I mean, please. At times, as human beings, let us be respectful and don't stop calling people names. You never hear me. Please. I take the exception of them listening. Please.
But I just disagree.
Oga, I was not referring to you. Please, calm down.
I want to bring this back. I want to bring this back to how it impacts our politics, our sociocultural construct, and generally how it led to the degradation of our entire economy today. So everybody listen. When we were growing up in Nigeria, there was nothing called MEND. Tudo, who else? Coswell, and a few other people will attest to this. Money, you will attest to this as well. There was nothing called movement emancipation of Niger Delta, right? So, Coswell, what you said actually hit home. That you spent XYZ amount of money to put back the environment where you met it after you mistakenly, knowingly or unknowingly messed it up, right? Because you were held accountable. If Shell and coal were actually held to similar standard in Nigeria, right? Nigerians, we would not have militants today running amok in either Niger Delta, which led to what you are seeing in the northern Nigeria today. Now, let me explain. Shell will spill oil. It will affect agriculture in South-South. It would affect fishery. Those people would complain. This was how it started, right? For people that knew Nigeria back then. Those people will complain, simple complaint. What you're doing is we cannot fish anymore. We cannot. Can you do something about this? They would give money. Rather than doing that, Shell would give money to politicians. Politicians will go to village heads and say, tell your guys to calm down. Those guys calmed down. From there, it moved to...
And they bribe village heads.
When I say go to village heads, they simply bribing village heads, right? From listening to village heads, those boys and ladies now said, you know what? We won't listen to you guys anymore because you can't do this once, twice, 3 times and nothing is happening. We are dying. Our livelihood is being destroyed, right? Our environment is being destroyed, right? I witnessed it firsthand in River State, right? So when they come to do this drilling, when you do your initial drilling and you shoot stuff into the ground, it cracks people's building. Like somebody very close to me, I witnessed their building crack. And they went to complain and nothing happened. Half of their house caved. This thing I'm saying is not everyday people's story. I witnessed it back then. So these guys moved from not refusing to listen to the village heads who were bribed, to go into this oil company to say, what are you doing? Block their gates, block their entrance with placards. Do you know what these guys did? They flew in machineries with guns to guide their facility. This was what led to these boys saying, you know what? We will start bombing, we will start disrupting your process. Now, from normal placard protests to, you know what, we'll use fuel and kerosene to go and put fire in your facility. From there, it led to bombing. From there, he gave birth. If you remembered back then, Asare Dokubo was a law student. This Asare Dokubo you are seeing now, that is now and Alpha and Omega. Tom Polo, there was nothing called Tom Polo back then. In the late 90s, right? These two guys, nobody knew them. Asare Dokubo was as thin as, when I say thin, lanky and slim as a normal person. When he was a law student, either in Africa or thereabouts, this guy left school in third year and said, I am going home to go and fight for my country, to go and fight for my community. All of a sudden, business was created. People now realize that, oh, we can actually kidnap oil staff and ask them for ransom. I'm giving you guys how Nigeria, our problem, started. And this, our leaders, politicians, thought, you know what? We will collect money from this oil company. We will quell these guys with guns and all that. Before you know it, non-state actors were born. Especially after Ken Saro-Wiwa and the Ogoni 7 or 8 were killed. We are right in front of everybody, hung by the government. Rather than addressing this issue, Nigerian states thought the best way to do it is to apply violence. But you cannot use violence to solve this problem. If only we held these organizations like they were held in America, Nigeria would not be how it is. I'm going somewhere with these people. Do you know that after Yar'Adua granted amnesty, some people in the north started thinking, do you know what? If we make this place ungovernable and we create certain elements that will look like men, maybe amnesty will be given. So today, if you are listening to people like Sheikh Gumi saying, grant these guys amnesty now, acknowledge them in your budget. The root, the foundation was built in Niger Delta. So it is the failure of leadership that led to the rise of non-state actors that somehow derailed massive number of young people in the South, right? And encouraged people in the North that if you do something like this, you will get amnesty. So you can see how Nigerian problem, negligence of leadership.
So failure of leadership, yeah.
Failure of leadership led to where we are today now that, okay, nobody, probably they never thought that one day an external element like United States will now bomb your country and you will now start fighting each other, looking at a screwdriver seller in Onitsha, the source of your problem, not tracing this thing back. When I was in the university, I had an assistant professor, he's Dr. Gogo. Came to us. He came from one of the Ivy League universities in the US back then. So for you to know, in case you were young, you were thinking that Nigerian university system is crazy. I want you to know that not long ago, our lecturers used to go on sabbatical to Ivy League universities in America, and they were allowed to teach, and they were respected and acknowledged. Because our Nigerian, our educational system was not as bad as you see it today. So this guy came to teach us, he spent 1 year with us. He was originally from University of Ibadan. He moved from Ibadan to US and he came to our school, to spend 1 year with us. Guys, this guy sat us down and he explained to us what he told Nigerian Senate Committee on this issue of Niger Delta. This man is still alive. He's a professor now. Professor Bobo. You can trace him and go ask him. If you think I'm making it up. He's a professor of history, I think. So the guy said the Senate invited him, right, as one of the doyens when it comes to conflict resolution in Nigeria. He said the Senate invited him and said, what do you think is the solution? He looked at them and said, guys, these boys, these young people are not asking for Rolls Royces and duplexes. They are asking you for schools. They are asking you for good roads. They are asking you to stop destroying their environment so that they can farm and fish. Why don't you give it to them so that we would not see worse than we are seeing today? Nigerians, this was happening back then. It was not as half, even quarter as it is now. The man said they asked him to stand up and get out. Listen, I'm telling you, this guy is still alive. Go and find him. He's in Nigeria, he's a professor now. He will tell you this same thing. They told him to F off. Today, we are now sitting down and we are watching an external element of the United States forming us, and we are blaming a screwdriver seller. Thank you. I just want to link this to the challenge that we are facing now and how bad it is and how we shouldn't have been here. If only we make people do what God's will and his team did in America. Thank you, Tudo. Back to you.
There's an angle that you missed. There's an angle that he missed. Please let me just relate to that angle. All these oil companies, they have what they call community liaison officers. These community liaison officers works directly with the community chiefs. The way the Rivers State hierarchical traditional hierarchy works is that the community chiefs works with different families. So if you have a representative from each family, so when these monies come, they distribute to the family heads, and the family heads do whatever they want with them. Now, the oil companies did not bring in mercenaries to protect their facilities. Rather, they went to the federal government and said, federal government, this is the challenges we are facing. We're having frequent disruptions of services, of oil production in our wells and our offices, which was what led the military to come and start guarding the facilities. Now, the angle that you missed was these guys, the likes of Asari Dokubo and Tom Pula and Ateke Tom and all that, where did they get the guns from that they started this from? Peter Odili's first tenure in Rivers State, Peter Odili performed poorly. Magnificent, does stop even. He performed poorly. And he needed to win a second tenure. I would mention a name. If you are truly a Port Harcourt boy, you go know say this name was among the people that took guns to what's his name? Asari Dokubo, Sekibo. These are the people that took guns to these boys in the rivers to help them win election. After the election, they now tried to recover back these guns. Remember, there was a governor whose mother was kidnapped. It was a recovery attempt that prompted the kidnap of the governor's mother. After negotiations, they noticed that these boys, their eyes don't test blood. They could not recover the guns again. It was these guns that they used. They started in the kidnapping of expatriates. I have been kidnapped once in my life, but I've survived a kidnap where we were in the rig and they came and collected the white man and left all the blacks to go. Then it was just whites that they were kidnapping before it now became a business in Rivers State. We have all the laws, all the laws to make Nigeria work. But the problem that we have is we have this belief that our elders will never do wrong. So we give them that respect and that accolade. When they do wrong and we try to bring our head, the older ones or our immediate senior ones will push us down and say, we never talk, I need to talk. This was one of the problems. Because people spoke and said, look, this was how the Ogoni fight started. Ogoni chased all the oil companies, even Shell, out of their land because I schooled in Ogoni. If you go to that place, you breathe. You can breathe. You can taste oil in your tongue, in your saliva. So people suffered. we have government that believes that for every time that I go into power, it is my turn. We have oppositions that believe that anytime I am not in power, I will suffer because they are not earning anything. Because most of the politicians, mostly their main source of livelihood is politics. So when they are in opposition, they will not get government contracts, they will not get appointments, they will suffer. And these persons at that point become so desperate that for them to get power the next time, they will do extra. And when they do extra, they want to recover. We have all the laws to make Nigeria's function, but we don't have followers that are determined to see their leaders function.
That's where I agree with you on the laws, because the laws are part of the problem we face. And Tudor Kabdami witness, you cannot develop California with the oil you are extracting in Texas. And our laws enabled that. Again,
my brother,
you cannot develop Abuja with the oil you are extracting from somewhere else.
Before the discovery of oil in Nigeria.
Hold on. We're talking about laws, not in broad sense, in terms of regulation.
There are laws and regulations that are being flaunted very seriously.
These companies are not flaunting the law.
You are talking about in broader context.
Yes, and these companies are not flaunting the law. Like, let me use a random example. Like, you want to call service companies?
Have you been to Ogoni before? You said they're not flaunting the. Have you been to Ogoni?
No, let me explain what I mean by that.
Sorry. Calm down. You're talking about something totally different. You have the argument separate.
So, Tudor, let me rephrase.
But seeking, what you're talking about is different, though. It's totally different.
It's the same that you have on. They have the way they operate. Let me give you a typical example that anybody can relate from back home.
Have you gone to operate?
Is an oil servicing firm.
No, it's an oil
servicing firm.
No, guys, hold on. I mean, you people are talking about two different things, though. Let them finish. Yeah, we'll have the seeking conversation later.
No, I understand what he made his point. And what he's saying is that the laws are there on the book, but they're not being
weak institution and normal level.
Yeah,
You write
so
something in mind. Yeah.
The interest of everyday Nigeria.
I mean, every AK market day, what's this guy's name? The DP of the police will come out and say nobody should search your phone without a warrant. Nobody should stop you on the road and take 100 naira. I mean, bro, stop talking, man. Just stop talking. You sound like a joker. If I drive out now, someone is going to collect 100 naira from me. Just stop it. Stop talking. Just go and do. Put body cams on people. Actually prosecute people. Stop all that. Anyway, Temp, you can round up so that we can move the mic.
Real quick.
Basically, our failures in politics and the fear that they imparted in us in politics also contributed to the rot that we have in the system.
All right. Temp, hang on tight. Let's allow that chime in. Matt, jump in.
Yeah. Can you hear me? Can you guys hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, yeah. I just wanted to come in to talk about what Ed was talking about as flaring of gases. God's will is 100% correct. But what Temp was talking about was releasing of associated gas flake. When you're doing a zipper frac, if there is so much gas in that production line, you can release some. I used to be a safety personnel for Halliburton for 6 years. I understand what he's saying, but the way you are explaining it, an engineer of Gaswi's caliber will tell you it is not true. And he is correct. It is absolutely. See, when Gaswi was telling you that is absolutely not accepted, he is right. Because you are talking about releasing those gases while you are fracking. So if there are gases, especially when you have 4, 5, 6 well heads on the pad, you can release
some of those gases. You understand? So while once you start fracking and production starts, you dare not. That is what gospel is trying to make you understand.
When you say
You
release, do you
understand? So
mean vent or flare?
no, you vent them out. You don't flare.
Okay, that's different from what Temp is saying. And Temp is, I
Yes.
believe, is a petroleum engineer. He understands the difference between flaring
No,
and
so
venting.
when Moses was saying that in Nigeria, you flaunt a lot of you get away with a lot of stuff, but not in the Western world. Honestly, then the way you're explaining it to an engineer, it will go 100% against what you're saying, especially somebody trained in
No, I
America.
didn't say I'm a petroleum engineer. I say mechanical. Mechanical.
Okay.
That's what I
See,
said.
because I worked in Odessa, Midland, Odessa. I worked in Louisiana. I worked in North Dakota. When we are talking about minus 20 degrees centigrade, you can ask any of the seeking and God will tell you when it's cold, you can't even pick up the iron. Look, I'm telling you.
Your ranges.
So I understand. I understand what they're saying. I was supposed to go to the engineering school at Alipotin. I chose not to because the thing was too much for me. I'd rather do the safety. I'm more like the police that catches the people. When God is telling you that when you spill water from the ground, when you do, honestly, I've written report upon report, like for 2 weeks for Alipotin that we're writing report upon report. So when they are explaining this to you firsthand, I understand what they're saying. So don't take it personal. You know, when you're flying those, sometimes they call it the kissing air gas because they let it out. But it's not totally acceptable while production is going on. I did cement, I did wire line, I did everything. I started from scratch. So I know, but I just don't like that because once one thing happens, that place could explode. And me, I was always scared of it could happen any day. It could happen. So I said, you know what? I think this is not me. So then you're not
You see,
wrong.
that's why I was quiet when all of you are talking. Because I'm just a graduate. I'm a graduate. I didn't work in the oil field apart from when I did IT. Yeah, that's why I'm silent on this.
If
You understand?
you
Just
stay in
I'm just on the
Texas,
bench listening because
And,
what I
a
spoke
graduate
about is what I
that
learned.
could use some leg up in terms of jobs. So if any of you has any connect, I bet hook a brother up. I just wanted to slip that in. But go ahead.
Yeah. About that, the framework, I think.
you know, I beg, forget which one. So, Sam, you're not wrong, but the way you're coming at engineers that are working in that field, they would definitely shut it down. Please, and understand that it's not as if they're trying to insult you. They take it as if you're trying to tell them their job when they know what they are doing. Honestly. So please, I don't want you to go back and forth and feel offended, especially with when I've spoken to CK already. I know where CK works. Me and CK, we've related as to that. But based on what God's will is telling you, I can tell you for a fact that he is an engineer. Horizontal drilling, I know you know your stuff. Believe me. See, God's will, I will give you that. But then, please don't get offended. I beg. Please, we are here to learn. So just leave it at that.
All right.
Okay, let me
Thank you.
say
Let's
this
move
to
on.
Tem. Let me
Okay.
say this to Tem before just kind of wrap up with Tem. Tem, see, it's not. I'm not dissing anyone. I'm not even trying to. All I'm just frustrated with the Nigerian system. After having to spend 2-3 years working for Schlumberger in Nigeria and seeing how they were trashing our ecosystem, trashing the ecological system, trashing the rivers, trashing the fauna and the foliage, trashing. I mean, it sometimes it makes me shed tears, especially when I see not just the environmental degradation, but also the depletion of the ozone layer within this community. Because when they flare this gas, When they release these gas into the atmosphere, it depletes the ozone layer. And then you have these areas, these communities exposed to extraordinary harmful radiation from the sun because there is no more cloud cover within these communities. They're exposed.
They're living in hell on earth. That's the
They're
truth.
living in hell on earth because as I
That's even what I came up for gospel because we're not even talking about that.
No, let me, because I need them to understand that I'm not even going against him. I'm really frustrated because every time I drive to Obagi, you see the heat will just increase. Even if let's say it just goes from, let's say 74 degrees to 100 degrees. Everywhere is hot. The communities are hot. And I'm wondering, is it only because of the facility? No, it's not because of the facility. It's because the cloud cover has been depleted. And these guys are facing a 24 hours exposure to extraordinary harmful radiation from the sun 24/7. And then when I feel sometimes after finishing my shift from the facility, I go back, I get headache because of being within that exposed, where they don't have cloud cover. But then transform the whole experience when I went to the United States. It's like everywhere is so calm, so pristine. It's like if you do this, if you drop a pin, they would penalize you. The water, what I was telling you, when we drilled, because we didn't even know there was a water table there that was under pressure. As soon as we punctured that water table, see the kind of water that came out. It was coming out instantly. We think something will finish, see no green finish. After when we tried to cap it, it wouldn't cap because it was under so much pressure. But then it's then flowing all across the farms, into the rivers and everything. By the time we finally capped it, we had spilled so much. And this water is just water with small extra salt, we just damn. Now, Railroad Commission was on location, everybody was on location, the whole Texas Commission was on location, the Agriculture Commissioner was on location. Now, so they give me
You guys are speaking out over connect water or what?
Ordinary water with salt. Exactly water.
Imagine if you crack somebody's foundation. Imagine if you crack people's houses foundation, like people's
finish now.
House. Like that's
you finish.
What people were
And this
experiencing
is ranch. And this is ranch. It's like ranch.
Have you worked in a farm where you just hit the cattle guard, where you see the cows walking past?
I know I will talk that one yet, Seth. I know I will talk that one. That one will put you for problem with the farmer, with the rancher. Because they always, these ranchers will show up your location because they own the location, they own the ranch. Because and that's another thing to have to talk about. The way they give what they call OPM, mining license in Nigeria is so faulty. Where the government will now give, you don't care. In the US, if you want to drill, you have only a deal with the landowners, with the ranchers. You do the transaction and you pay 30% tax to the government. That's all. You pay mineral royalties to the 20% mineral royalties to the landowner, give 50% for yourself, pay 30% to the government, and that's it. No JV, no joint venture, none of that bullshit that is happening with NMPC.
No bribe.
No bribing, no nothing. You just make sure that you deal directly with the landowner, agree with them, say, okay, look, you get this ranch, you get these animals, I want to drill oil for your place. I want every $1 I make, I give you 20 cents. Give government 30 cents, then keep 50 cents for myself. You go write on a sign for paper. As soon as you start drilling, you make sure say you keep the ranch, you don't go to stop the animals, you don't go to stop when they sleep, you don't go to stop when they wake up, and you make sure that you drive below 5 miles an hour. As long as you're within that ranch, you cannot speed, you cannot leave the cattle guard open, because if you leave the cattle guard open, the cattle won't enter road, motor jam. Now Texas will solve that question, will solve that problem for court with you and the rancher. So at the end of the day, you have so many rules. But when I think about this, and now I work in America, and I was thinking, why is it that Nigerian leaders are not interested in treating Nigerian communities like human beings? They are treated worse than animals. How come in America that they are taking so much care to protect the environment, protect the owners of the land, protect the communities where this operation is taking place? But in Nigeria, it's like they just go in there and abuse the population, abuse the community, render them useless, and then they leave it all the money.
You're coming to what I was trying to talk about earlier, because these companies, they know how to operate. They operate in other areas, but when they come to Nigeria, they do it differently, and we blame the companies. And is the one thing you have to understand is this: is like, I don't know if you have a grandma. Let me give you something we can all relate with. When you come home, there is these people, small kids, they're running around for you to give you money. You dip your hand in the pocket with big money. Grandma, just don't give them all of it. Don't give them all of it. Give them small. That's what happens. And there's some of these companies, they know how to operate. They want to do it. It's some people from our country, our politicians say, no, don't do it. I know people I can give half of this money, they will shut up. Don't do this.
Seeking, do you know these oil companies? There's many places they want to be digging oil in US or in this Western world. They cannot dig there because of the policies laid down and regulations in that area, and they will run away. And that's why there's many places with oil in United States, but these people cannot go in because they cannot. The rules and regulation that you have to abide, so they will not even make money.
So there are areas that I work with that they can't even, because of the county rules, they can't install gas compressors.
You know what got me when I started feeling bad for South, and I feel bad for South more than my Southeast. It was when Flint, Michigan happened about the pipe water. I don't know if you remember Flint, Michigan, when they talked about the lead.
Yeah, when they did lead in their pipes and the governor.
And,
Yes,
yeah. And now they have to study the damage that the lead has done on the children of that place. Not even the problem that it has done to their brain that they will live with forever.
Do you know there are still some law cases still going on now?
Yes, and
Till
this is the pipe. This is pipe. Oh, this is pipe and water. It now made me to
Kenny, I think you're going far. Goswell, do you remember about the same time that Shell had explosion in South? There was an explosion. I think it was BP off Gulf of Mexico. Obama was the president then. Do you remember that, Goswell? Macondo. No, it's BP. It's Macondo. Yes, Macondo. BP. Do you know that made BP change their name and change their logo?
Yeah. Do you know why I'm pointing to Flint, Michigan? Do you know why I'm pointing to? There was a study. They had to do study and find out the implications of the exposure of all this lead. Nigeria has not even started a study of the damage of not only the land, not only the children, the people that is living today, but the children that is there, the damage that whatever thing that these oil companies are doing, whatever damage that their children will live with forever.
Look at how they treated Makoko residents in 2026.
So that's the part that kills me the most, because the children that come from there has something on them as we speak.
Kenny, when I was working in Nigeria, we dispose drilling chemicals into the river. We dispose our drilling chemicals. When we get the chemical, when you're drilling and you get, you have to pump chemicals for the U point, for the plastic viscosity and all that, PVYP, and to make, whether it's better, to make it, more weight or lighter the weight or whatever. So you pour a lot of chemicals are used in drilling. But guess what? We dispose the chemical, we're pouring it into the river in Nigeria. In the US, if you know how they go through a process of disposing the chemical, you will marvel. And when I see these things, I say, Chineke, why is it in Nigeria that they don't even care about the aquatic ecosystem? Why they are pouring? If I didn't know all this when I was working in Nigeria, this became very clear. When I started working in the US and see how things were done differently, I can't pity South. I said, Chineke. So these guys are fishing.
I feel bad for South though. And that's why I laugh. When I see some South people, they say, oh, they were, some of their youths like me, and the obedience too, they say, oh, the South, they play their politics very well, and Southeast needs to learn how to play politics. I just laugh. I laugh because...
Let me use this opportunity to report something. I think the news swallowed it. And obedient, I like the good work you people do. You see how diverse our conversation can go. and to the root cause of our problems. Several weeks ago or several months ago, um, you noticed that Nestle all over the world reported about some baby food, you know, and having toxins or some issues, and because it makes children vomit and all the rest of them, and which could be an issue to their, I think, oxygen going into their, system and all, it could cause a lot of problems. The bigger issue with that before, we didn't get up to this moment. I may be wrong. We didn't hear anything from NAFDAC, and that recall has been there. And that recall has been there. So because that recall has been there, and why it looks like we are getting the recall almost from, how do I say it, the Nestle people, when the recall or the information should be coming from NAFDAC. Okay, they are saying now that Nigeria is not affected. They've blacklisted, they've listed the countries. Can you still hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. Yeah.
Okay. So they're saying is not affected. Look at other countries that are affected, some African countries and Europe affected in the distance. And Nestle almost muzzled the whole news media by releasing message information that Nigerian people, this is not, you are not affected, this is blah, blah, blah. Without when it should be our NAFDAC releasing statements that we have run a test and see that the batches or the baby food that we have in Nigeria, baby formulas are not affected. Is Nestle releasing? It was somewhat a little fishy for me. Then I started doing some more research. I found out that even in the Nigerian market, some of the countries where the Nestle food and what they released in their website when I was looking into it was they they are still ongoing investigation, which means they haven't found all the batches that are affected, all the countries. So ruling out Nigeria was how did they come to rule out Nigeria? And I found out that in Nigeria we have the culture of, oh, this is imported. So some of these countries like UK and all the rest of them, you know, this baby formula coming through those countries into our country. So it's also possible that those batches that were affected from those countries have managed to come in or being imported into Nigeria, and nobody tracks it. Up to this moment, we haven't had a press release or anything from NADAC to this issue.
God,
And one of the things that prompted me to
I
eh,
said, I just shouted. I said, God,
so one of the things that brought me to this issue was, I saw a family member, baby, eating, and I'm not saying that's the case, throwing up and they call it reflux, and I started saying, looking, oh, wait a minute, and I started digging, and again, this is the society we live in. Another thing that bothers me, do they even have the capacity to even challenge or look into this big company to say, wait a minute, we are affected. You have this problem here or not? It's almost like Nestle killed it because, of course, they are big. They are politically, they are political heavyweight in Nigeria. They actually do a lot of politics in Nigeria in their own way. So they use that they kind of took the oxygen off of that news by going into it, using premium times, all of them saying that the baby food in Nigeria, formulas that are coming into Nigeria are not affected. But they didn't tell us how and why, they're not affected. And they also mentioned they're still looking into it, which didn't make sense. And INEC never came out to even tell us why is Nestle telling us, So yeah, I just felt like I also use this opportunity to, bring this up.
In 2020, in 2022, when I was running around for my campaign within Port Harcourt and Abia State, I was in Port Harcourt for a couple of weeks, getting some information and all that. And that was when they had the suits in Port Harcourt. And I was I don't know what happened, what made me just drop my guard. But I breathed a whole bunch of that suit, okay, in Port Harcourt. I breathed a whole lot of that suit. And that, the suit is not it's not biodegradable. So all those suit was lodged up in my lungs. And then a few months later, when I was sick. I was constantly sick while I was in Nigeria. Constantly sick. Everything in Nigeria is being designed to kill Nigerians, to kill people. I mean, you cannot imagine whether it's the water, whether it's the medicine, whether it's the drink, whether it's the food. Everything is designed. So I was constantly sick. Everything. So even pure water, that water in the sachets. Do you know that sachet is the microbes that is contained in that sachet water where people they drink, where VDM they drink for a video, the bacteria. If you can use your iPhone 17 or one of those iPhone will get high magnification, look into the sachet. Magnify them as much as possible. You will see microbes swimming inside that sachet. I saw that when I was in Port Harcourt. And I stopped everybody I knew from drinking everyday water from sachet. We had to figure out. But what I'm trying to make is this: when I finally made it back to the United States, I was personally sick. When I just went straight to my doctor. I said, "Look, I just got back from Nigeria, and I know there's a whole lot of crap in my body." The guy ran checks. Do you know that the suit that I breathed in almost killed me when I got back to the US? They had to pump everything out from my lungs because there was no way, because I kept on coughing. But when you cough out, even when I came to the United States, when I cough out, I was coughing out suits. So this is me. I just temporarily went to Nigeria, spent time in Port Harcourt, breathed a whole bunch of suits, and get back to the United States. I was still sick. And then, luckily, because of the healthcare system, I was fixed properly. Now, imagine people that are still in Port Harcourt that didn't get the benefits of having a good healthcare system. They are walking corpses. You have a whole bunch of people in Port Harcourt that are dropping dead every day, and they are attributing it to villagers. Your village. We see the person walk up before you don't drop. They can't go to hospital, don't figure out, there's in a village don't hit them. I guarantee you there is so much death going on in Port Harcourt, unreported, of people that must have been exposed to these suits that have died or passed away. Because if I get the report from the test, I will show you guys. The suits that I breathed in almost killed me. If I stayed in Nigeria for more than 2 years extra, I probably would have dropped dead. And they could tell I'm still in a village people where they come after me. So ignorance. So I'm trying to bring this to you to say that bad governance leads to so many dead that nobody's accounting for. It leads to so much PTSD. I tell you, when I can't wait for Peter to become president. When Peter becomes president, there is a whole lot of therapy and counseling that 250 million Nigerians need. Because, and I spoke at this in the previous system, when you have so much slaughter and so much killing, and there has been no pathway to healing. And you know that, those of us in the US, you know that whenever there is any tragedy, the government provides counseling, provides therapy for survivors of those violence, paid for by the government, so that those guys that are impacted by this tragedy will begin their process of healing and becoming productive members of the society. Because they know if this mental sickness is even more dangerous than physical sickness, because mental sickness is not what you see. Physical sickness, you see, okay, you don't break hand, or maybe you have one, you fix it. But mental sickness, so many people in Nigeria are walking around with mental sickness due to the trauma and tragedy, whether from their death of their relatives, the torture of poverty, the long years of poverty, of penury, ability, trauma of not being able to any good source of livelihood, loss of hope. So there's so much mental sickness that 250 million Nigerians have that if P2B gets sworn in today, P2B needs to initiate a nationwide therapy and counseling session for all Nigerians, for us, for Nigerians to feel at home, to begin to heal and begin to see themselves to becoming productive members of the society. If not, at the pathway that we are, Nigeria is on a ticking time bomb with 250 million Nigerians that are mentally ill and mentally sick. And you know what happens when people are mentally sick? They don't act like human beings anymore. So that is the fear for me. That's why when I keep on saying that 2027 is the deadline. If we don't get it right by 2027, we are doomed. Nigeria will cease to exist because we're going to have to deal with a perpetual population that is going to be perpetually mentally sick and mentally ill. And they are going to be the trigger to completely decimate not just Nigeria, but the region. So, and sometimes we'll talk about this as in theory, but when you've lived in Western civilization, and see how they take these issues very seriously. Ordinary small times where somebody go small, say, okay, hey, police do this or police arrest this person. Government knows that you have to provide therapy, full time, and counseling so that the people can recover and become human again. Because if you don't provide these things, the people that have been impacted by these victims, these victims are not humans. They are walking tragedy, waiting to be unleashed on the population. And that is the problem that we are facing in Nigeria. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr.
Nice one.
Garcia. No
Nice
problem.
one.
Problem is wrong, man.
Very, very great exchange, guys. I was going to
Yeah.
share my own experience. When I was in Port Harcourt, I traveled through Ogoniland, Kana local government, all that side. Omo, go and see how oil companies lay their pipes over there. I saw pipelines going through people domot. The kinds of things that these guys will never try. They will never try it in the Western world. They will never try it. Like, as in people go sit down, gas pipelines, they're going to put leg on top, like they're just like they're breaking a goosey or they're just the things these companies so seeking. Their operational, their SOPs is not the same. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Like these guys that are operating in Nigeria, they know their environment. There's nothing standard about the operating procedure. When it comes to Nigeria,
Did you look at what you did there, right? Nothing standard about their standard operating procedure.
There is nothing standard about it. Those guys cut corners. They do like forget. They don't give a fuck about you.
So that's why they use consultants if you go to Africa production, you see a lot of middlemen. And why I told you this is there was a time I came in here when I was still working as mostly as a reliability engineer I came in here to write a report. And I was asking who installed this equipment, failure report. Who installed this equipment? None of them was attached to the company. It's almost everybody uses the middleman because of the SOP that they themselves don't want to be held accountable. That's why they use contractors. The contractors, because they know that this is not the way it should work, but because of corruption, they want to stay in the business. What do we do? Let's use a contractor so that if anything falls back, we don't take the hit. And at that point in time, the contractor, where are you going to find the contractor? What are you going to do with the contractor? There is a certain amount of this thing that you have.
I mean, but the middlemen aside, some of these companies also operate directly, right? But what I'm saying is that you sound like you're trying to absolve them, right? From wrongdoing. They're guilty as fuck.
No. The reason why I'm telling you, I've done it in other areas. Like even one time when I went to Colombia, You know, they are those, some
Yeah,
of those
I mean, I
corrupted.
get that, but we're
They
talking
do
we're
those
talking
things.
Nigeria, and
in-
and I'm saying that. Look, I drive through all these oil well pumps all the time. They are in neighborhoods. Go and see how clean they are. Like, go and see how clean they are. Like, I'm serious. Like, the same shit that is in Nigeria. Like, these things they're all around us, in neighborhoods all around. I mean, California is a major oil state, right?
You call them pump jacks or
Yeah, all
iron
these
horse,
pumping
iron
jacks.
horse,
Yeah,
iron
all these
horse.
exactly those whole yeah. Like they exist. You see
yeah,
them along the
pump jack,
freeways. You see them along the freeways. You see them in neighborhoods. You see them. They are clean as fuck. Sometimes, like, who born you where? Make you go. By the time they find you, you'll be out of business. It's as simple as that. And if it's owned by an individual, because of full resource control laws and all of that, you better make sure that whoever is running it for you or whatever, for you to be getting all these commissions, better make sure you are following all the regulations, you are following all the laws. But in Nigeria, we have a bunch of people who don't care, a bunch of misleaders. They don't give their bribe. These are stupid people. That small change that you pay them,
this
they'll
talks
go and hide in
everywhere.
offshore accounts and all this nonsense that they do. And grow or fat and drive cars and they will amass cars and amass houses. Whereas you are living in that same environment. Eh? River State is still struggling with suit. People come home and you use one finger to touch your furniture. It's all black. Imagine what that is doing to the longevity or life expectancy of people. By the way, my brother, Apoli, I'm reading your report that you posted in the comment section, guys. And I think it's about male infertility in Nigeria and South Africa. I tell you a visionary story. I'm wondering if the reason you posted it is because of what we're discussing. Otherwise, I'm saying, my goodness, because we have too many, we have too much, we have too many people.
I think he's talking about, like, the quality of
We need to
life
cut
you
down our
have
population,
when
anyways. No, really, I'm not bothered.
No. So, here's the problem, right? The problem is that,
Yeah.
assuming we are trying to reduce the population by education, it's a different discussion, right? But if you're trying to reduce the population via this, let's not say trying, if the population keeps being reduced by how it is happening now, then, I mean, you heard this other brother say he's in his middle age and he was in his 30s or something, right? It means that people will reach 70 years of age. I mean, people born in Port Harcourt, how do you plan to?
If we're going to become extinct, it will not be because we don't have enough people. It will be something else, right?
Yeah, exactly. So I'm saying that, yes, we can try and resolve something, discussion, family planning, all those kind of ones, but the quality of life people live in this country, it is. I saw there's this video that I read one time, right? I think it was like a soft drink that had like a worm inside it. Things are happening, man. It's mad.
I just chime in. I just
Go
chime in.
ahead. Why are you
Yeah.
very
Well,
some of us want to have 10
actually,
children like our grandparents.
this is part of a business I've been in. I actually worked in Asaba for more than 5 years, and I worked in the fertility industry. And so, apart from just the studies that I did myself, there are also anecdotal reports, and it is very true. The petrochemical industry in Nigeria has really dealt with male infertility. I'm saying male because this is what we did our studies on. There are a lot of sperm defects and a lot of infertility. It got so bad at some point, we even had to import sperm donors from other parts of the country to help. So, the truth be told, the quality of what the Nigerian generation in future will be determined by the environment we are living in right now. So yes, we really do need to do something about it. I totally align with what God will have been saying. That industry is really polluting the atmosphere. Thank you.
It's good about the infertility thing now. Do we need to worry so much about it? We are so overpopulated already.
It's not just a matter of infertility. Yeah, you might have you might have birth you might have birth defects. You might start having kids that are that have birth defects, because this is not going to be like affecting your ability to procreate. It might actually affect, because if the mother is consuming polluted uh, polluted fishes. Let's say, for example, let's say how they go fish, they'll catch fish for waterside or whatever. For these small communities, and the mother maybe she they're pregnant. Meanwhile, the fish don't consume some of the chemicals who don't pour, because go just don't even believe me. Go to any of those swamp reefs in Niger Delta. Go and ask anybody that works in the swamp rigs. They call them swamp rigs. And of course, you don't even have to go into just go to the bush bar, because there's always a bush bar attached to swamp rigs, because I spent a lot of months there. They will tell you, say, most of the chemicals where they use for the drilling and even the plant inside the river, then you go see those fishes go consume those chemicals. And then pregnant mothers, where suppose they carry healthy children, go now consume the fish. How you go tell me, say, those chemicals don't affect the fetus where they grow for the mom that womb? What we say, by the time the thing come, the picking come, they come born the picking. You don't know whether the picking don't already get psychological or mental defects. It could be like human being, but when it begin to manifest, you go now find and say the animal with the woman born will look like human being. So I know we see a lot of these films like Wrong Way or Wrong Turn, where you have people in Appalachian, that have been affected by certain radiation or whatever, or people in Nevada, okay, Area 19 or something, or Area 51. But then they make a movie about how they're affected by radiation because they drag the water or whatever. And then you see them become like they grow like 7 foot tall or 8 foot, and they live in the let's say in the middle of nowhere. And then all they do is just target vehicles that are passing through that area, and they just grab those people and go cook them and eat them, and become cannibals. These are realities. When you begin to inject poison into the food source of the community, then you start having those children that are procreated within that community become not just might not be physically defective, but they're going to be psychologically and mentally defective, and they are going to become tragedies to the society. And and this so-called bush bar, it is still going on right now as we speak. Those swamp breeds in Niger Delta. And we now talk about this, I know that, people, there's this commentary about, the situation with, refinery and all that, Dangote refinery. I don't know how Dangote refinery is working, but I can guarantee you that when you have pollutants in waters that is supposed to be a food source for communities, like you see in somewhere like even Lagos. Let's go away from Niger small. Let's go to Lagos. Why do you think and you expect those communities that are living above water, that are depend on that water, that are so-called polluted, and you expect those children to become normal? Go watch any of the videos of those children, of those people, those communities that live in water in Lagos. Do those people act like humans to you? Do those people think rational like humans? Do those people respond? Those are the future generations of people that when they begin to grow and migrate to other communities in Lagos, you're going to see tragedy. And people complain, oh, Lagos is so beggy. Why do you blame that? Don't you see how these people are being produced? The community is a ticking time bomb. I don't even know whether our leaders are conscious of the fact their maladministration is directly putting them in harm's way. And they are just completely ignorant, because when this shit begins to implode, it's going to be a chain reaction, and everybody will be affected in very negative, in a very bad way, in a very tragic way. And I fear for this. That's why you see people, you see us every day will come out and talk about P2B, because we know if P2B comes in, this situation, this culture of people not listening to good ideas, because all this is we're talking about right now, whether we package it properly, and we try to serve it to any next administration that's coming in that's not P2P, they're not going to listen to us. They're not going to pay attention because that is not the culture of the criminal leadership that we have in Nigeria. But we know that if P2P gets in there are so many things that we need to clean up. There are so many practices. This so-called oil infrastructure, criminal oil infrastructure. Guess what? Thinking, you know that how they permit here in the US, you just want to go, you sign the paperwork and you get the permit license and you collaborate with the ranches and you drill the well. Keep it clean. What stops us from migrating since we're copying everything from America? What stops us from taking exactly that practice? Assemble those of us that are in oil and gas in the US that have understand the practice. Okay, let's build a similar model in Nigeria where it will be everybody will be accountable. Government will get their 30%, the landowners, the property owners will get their 20%, and then the company will make a 50%. Simple. Keep it simple. And then whatever government wants to do with their 30%, that's fine with them. But these guys are not going to listen. So that is why we're praying. If P2P comes in, there are so many recommendations that we can come up with to make the system better, to make our communities here that we live in diaspora. We can move, we can migrate certain practices, best practices, common sense practices. Whether it's in governance, whether it's in community infrastructural development, there are so many practices. And I'm going to wind up with this. I know Nicholas has it. I'm going to wind up with this real quick, okay? Talking about listening to ideas. Despite more than a dozen value ideas that have passed on to Nigeria and they've declined, but every single idea that I've tabled to people that I'm associated with here in the US, they absorbed it and they implemented it. I'll give you one example. When I was in the MBA, I saw that there was a potential that all the MBA faculties all across the United States can actually work in unison so that we can now begin to do something like a competition, more like they call it like a business case competition. And guess what? I sent that information to all the presidents of the student union in all the schools. And guess what? They all said, yeah, let's do it. And within 2 months, they had a summit here in Houston where they all came, all the leaders from Berkeley, from MIT Sloan, from Wharton, from you name it, from Stern, NYU Stern, New York University. They came to Houston and they are here for 2 weeks. And we brainstormed on how we can implement that situation. And guess what? As I speak to you today, that thing that I recommended more than 10 years ago in the business school is still ongoing right now. And I spoke with one of the students that went for that one of the big business case competition last week. And I asked him, so how did it go? He said it was very wonderful. In fact, he said most Fortune 500 companies in the United States have bought into that idea and now coming to attend that event when they do the business case for all the universities, for all the MBA students. And I say, wow, this is an example of a society that welcomes ideas, whether you're black, you're white, you're Chinese, you're Nigerian, it doesn't matter. You bring a good idea, they absorb it, companies absorb it, organizations absorb it, the government absorbs it, and they implement it as long as it's bringing value. But if you take idea to Nigeria, they will ask for bribe. They will ask you, what tribe are you from? What's your ethnicity? What are you going to do it for? And before you know, they will kill the idea and not even let it come to light. So that is the problem that we are facing. Nicholas, back to you.
Thank you very much, Gospel. Well said. I was just watching NURTW. They now have their own militia force. So you guys know. I'm just watching them marching here. I'm like, what the fuck? These are people that will come out.
So wait, we've conferred Grand Commander on MC Oluomo.
Yeah, about can raise his own force now. And I'm wondering that these people that are going to work. Let me see if I can share it for you. I think Carlo Eja shared it. I'm watching it from his account. So I'm guessing these are the people that are going to protect their votes.
2027 is a goal, ladies and gentlemen. Take your fitness seriously. In the words of my brother, I always say take your fitness seriously because it's about to really go down.
It's about to go down, man. What so NURTW can raise the militia group. This is great. They are matching like soldiers. So, wow, Nigeria. Anyways,
did you not see the day they were saluting him? The day they gave him gun salute kind of parade.
Yeah, and the MC is there watching them. Let me share it on the Jumbotron so you guys can enjoy yourselves with it. Yeah, I just did.
If you enjoy the video, and look at
I
that.
enjoy it now. It's right there on the Jumbo, guys.
You said we should enjoy. I think it keeps
Yeah.
getting better, bro.
So also I posted my next post is what he was talking about the other time with the students that he works with. So the event is going to take place, and normally I support them with a few of us support them with a few for some funds, and just to encourage those guys. That's some of the things we do. Anyways, I just wanted to post that. So check it out, guys. Read, see all the things that he's doing with that crew. All right, let's continue. Peter Obi, we're still here. ADC.
Hey yo, that MC Olomo comment was a joke. I just went to the original video and they were actually saluting the guy. They were saluting the Olomo. I was joking.
He's standing right there now at the parade. He's enjoying the parade now.
Come on, guys. No, this country is not. This country dogs now.
He's enjoying. He's soaking it in. These are the people that are running our country. We are here speaking about. I'm really hoping that if there's a God in this world, I'm hoping that Nigeria can find its way back to Sanity Island, because the lunatics have taken over the asylum right now.
God knows, man. God knows. And it's like the lunatics have taken over the asylum, right? And it's almost as though we're in the middle of an island. We're in the middle of an island that's in the middle of the sea. I don't know where help is gonna come from, man. I think the people who are sick need to find a way to take it over again.
No, because Titanic is about to sink. The life jackets are not going to go around. So what do we do? I mean, we've already been struck with the iceberg.
Did you see? I just saw Wike thanking God and thanking his wife that his son has graduated from London or something. They just posted it recently. I just saw it. We can look for it. Right, so people that are grabbing their, what do you call it again? Their life jackets and their lifeboats, right? They're thinking of, these children are training in all the foreign schools. So when the time hits, they just move and join the private sector. Everybody is just still.
Okay. So let me reignite this conversation. Let me drop this.
All right,
I want to hear people. Okay, I'm going to drop it and I'll go back to the next section, right? Okay, so I was listening to I listened to a few spaces in the morning as I was getting ready to leave. And I started wondering, so have we just noticed that whenever we talk about, whenever election is coming, right, all of a sudden Nigerians will forget, young Nigerians will forget all the sufferings and all the ills in society, right? It seems as if people take election issues, this discussion, as sports, as game, right? It's time for us to play a game, right? You won't win us. We are APC, you won't win us, right? We are pushing an 80-year-old man, right, to lead us. We don't care. It is what we want. You won't win us. So it's the game, right? But then when you come and you ask them this question, please, after this politics, because they usually start with, oh, you people don't know politics. You're always emotional, right? We have to explain to you how politics is played. And when you ask them, can you link this your politics to good roads, to steady power, to insecurity, to functioning economy, to even understand how inflation affects you and what you need to do to pull that down, right? To regulatory responsibilities that we're talking about here, oil and gas. It cuts across everywhere, right? The first job I did after I graduated in Nigeria, my employer wasn't remitting our pension and our tax. Just so you know. I told you this at the time last year or 2 years ago, and you were cracking up. Like our tax, my pension, if I contact the PFA, they will say you don't have any money. Your employer did not remit it. So the employer did not remit yeah. So the employer did not remit the employer's tax. The employer took the employee's contribution and swallowed it. Right? But when you talk about
guys, hold on. Don't gloss over that point. Hold on. That's a very sweet. That's a sweet one. That's a very
Swallow.
Yes, wait. You are planning your future. Hold on. The money you are planning for your future. The guy was eating the one is supposed to contribute and your own.
I say, and when we're talking about employer, we're not talking about mushroom employer. These are big guys in oil and gas. So your employer did not remit their own portion of the reason. Okay, no wahala. That's not a problem. At least my own is there, right? No, they did not remit your own too. That they deducted from your from your money, from your gross income. So when we talk about politics, right? I want everybody to pay attention. This period for the past 6 months, going up to 2027, everybody is coming out to say you don't know politics. You guys are emotional. We'll teach you politics. And when you now ask them to link their version of politics to good roads, to infrastructure, to functioning economy, to insecurity, they'll be staring at you. Nigerians, we always talk about politics, right? Until after election, then people will now come back and start telling you, oh, my mom died in the hospital because there was no oxygen. Actually, I went to visit my sister in the hospital and they asked me to buy gloves. Do you know that the drip that your father was taking is finished? And I had to go and buy drip outside and take it to the hospital for them to. Then you now start asking the person, wait, I thought you're the one that knew politics. Can you not link? Were you not able to link your political jingoism to development in your country? And this is something we need to start paying attention to. And we should be asking these questions. It is not you coming up to do permutation, northeast, northwest, south. Someone came up in the space in the morning and said, I'm not saying this like I'm not trying to shit on anybody, but I'm just trying to repeat what the guy said. The guy said, you need to understand how the North vote. Northeast and Northwest voted Buhari against everybody, including against Yaradua, for you to know that we just vote based on this. And I now say, okay, you guys vote based on this. So what about when you now have issues of insecurity? What about when you have over how many million out of children? What about when you have this and that? How do you correlate that to your voting? So you are proud telling us here how you vote, but you are not smart enough to ask yourself, this our attitude, strategy towards voting, what does it do to us? Buhari's children are sorted. Buhari is gone. But you are in tenure. Kaduna is one of the most successful, should be, states in Nigeria. If you don't know, right, almost a quarter of anything called federal government is in Kaduna that matters is in Kaduna. Did you guys see Kaduna State Governor visit some people that had issues? Did you guys see that video? Do you see how dusty that road is? That place looks like there's nothing. Do you see the contrast between the SUV, the fleet of SUV that the governor was riding in, right? And the community that the governor was coming to visit. Do you see the contrast, the absolute divide between both of them? For young Nigerians know politics, but they cannot link the politics they know and their strategy to the welfare of themselves. Thank you, Tudo. I just want to bring it to that. Thank you, Tudo. I think I'll go down to the next section.
All right. Yeah. Nice one. Yeah. Speaking of videos, I saw Benjamin Kalu. Did you see his convoy when he went to his village, I mean his hometown in Abia State? Did you see the and then see the roads that he went through with that convoy? And then the conqueror, the emperor, the lion is here. Nigerian politicians are stupid. Like,
Nothing in his head told him that, hey, this picture doesn't look right. Like, who is going to tell this nigga that, dude, you are here flaunting whatever success you think you have. Look at the environment that you are driving this fleet of cars through. Doesn't make sense to you, but he just came to show off. Yeah, from my humble beginning, my poor neighbor, come and see me. Mama, I made it. Like, Nigeria, we are cursed. The loonies are running the asylum. That's the situation of Nigeria. It's sad. By the way, Abdul Rashid Mena, the former pension board chairman, he's now saying that Malami, the amount that they are even quoting, PFC is quoting, the amount he stole is way more that he knows personally. This nigga that went to prison for like what, 8 years for pension fraud. And he was asking for 65 billion for whistleblower agreement that he had with the government. Because normally when you do whistleblower, you get 5% of the total amount that was recovered under the law. He said they never pay him in whistleblower fee. This criminal. Nigeria, my country. Jeez. Anyways, I don't know, man. Nicholas, are you still there?
Yeah.
Welcome, my brother. Welcome. I always value your submission. So we are here today talking about ADC. We're telling them the clock is ticking. And we're saying Peter Obi will usher in a new Nigeria. What is your take, my brother?
Okay, thank you. Field Marshal to the Bams. That's how I'll be calling you henceforth. Good evening, Valele. Good evening, everybody. What actually brought my attention to request for an audience to speak was when Ezekiel was making his submission, and I think something struck me. Our country currently, we are sitting in a keg of gunpowder that will likely explode any moment from now. And the decision we make as we approach the 2027 election and thereafter will determine a clear direction and pathway on how we as a country we are able to maneuver and come out of this current predicament. Now, when he was making his submission, I think he made reference to how the militancy started, the role the likes of the Asari Dokuban and the rest played. That was as a result of government inefficiency and poor governance. And it was quite true. I strongly agreed what he is saying 100% because I happened to school within that axis. I went to Uniport. And as at the time we had Ken Sarawiwa, when he was killed with Ogun 9, Ogun 8, I was in part 2 at that time. And I knew what happened during that time, in that axis, within that space. But I called before now used to be a place, a state that was very calm, peaceful, safe, and secure. But when this militancy started, it became a different ballgame completely. I could recall years back, there's this company called Wilbros. For those that knew Chaba Axis, it's a company within that Chaba Axis. I know then Uniport back then, there were several instances where, due to air pollution, we have been going to Wilbros severally for demonstration, close their gate, 1 or 2 demonstrations, block the east-west road. Most times, my school has been shut down by the government because of Wilbros. We'll demonstrate, they'll shut down the school, we'll go home, come back again, life continues. Again, the pollution wasn't addressed. And this was around 95, 96. Fast forward to 2020, 2022, when I was in Port Harcourt. If you look at the level of environmental degradation in terms of pollution that we were experiencing back then, 95, 96, when we were demonstrating at Wilbros Gate, you cannot compare that with what is happening currently in Port Harcourt as at 2020, 2022, when I was in PH. As at that time, if you wash a white shirt or singlet automatic by naturally they'll be like charcoal, understand, with time. If you like, use bleach on them. White shirts automatically become charcoal by default with time. And there's nothing you can do about it. Port Harcourt is a place where if you lock your house, let's say you are out of the house for 1 week, all windows closed, everywhere doors sealed. By the time you come back, you literally see particles, dark particles covering the whole atmosphere, including your chairs, the floor, the roof, the ceiling, everywhere, dark particles. Then you can look at the amount of debris that people inhale in their system. And another observation he made. So what I'm trying to point out is this: if you look at in terms of maybe more like an extrapolation between 1995-96 up to that time is about close to about 30 years difference. We saw the level of environmental degradation that has happened. So if the country continues working at the frequency is moving, what happens in the next 10 years, 20, 30 years time from now? You can imagine the level of pollution that we are going to have in the atmosphere and the kind of level of harm that will be causing on the lives of Nigerians. Because again, as we speak today, there is no control, there is no remedy. Nobody is interested in making any efforts to stop that pollution. He made another analogy also as regards the militancy, how the amnesty was granted during Iradua's era, and the same thing replicated in the north, which is why we are seeing the challenges we are seeing in the north, the issue of the Boko Haram, the killing, and it has even gotten out of proportion. So look at it again, same analysis. As at the time I was in that environment, there was calm, no insecurity. Fast forward, they came up and started doing what they're doing, and amnesty was granted by Yaradua. How many years later, we have seen where we are currently because of insecurity in the north. So the question we're asking ourselves is, what will happen the next 10 years from now, 20 years from now, 30 years from now? How will our insecurity in our country, how will it look like? Because I can bet you, as you speak, there is gas in the southeast in large quantity. There is a probability that if things continue the way it's going, there is a tendency that all other sub-regions in the country will equally do the same thing also, because they want an amnesty. We now have amnesty, cluster of amnesty everywhere, scattered all over the country. Southeast, south, even in the southwest. Southwest is just come for now because their man is the one in charge. The Agbo, how does he call himself? The man who was the freedom fighter of the Yoruba nation.
Sunday.
Yes, he will come back. He's just coming down, waiting, watching. And I'm sure he's building up his strategy. He will still come back when the time comes. No central today seems as if they are helpless, but again, they're not helpless. They will equally do the same thing also. So we now have this strong militancy in almost all the regions. And I can bet you 10, 20, 30 years from now, it's going to become very, very bad if government is unable to stand up to responsibilities and do the right thing. PH before now, there used to be an environment where any Nigerian student who is aspiring to study engineering, whether electrical, mechanical, petroleum, whatsoever, Uniport, UST is always their first choice because there are options in the job market. There are very many companies in Port Harcourt at that time. The white guys, they're very many. The likes of Halliburton, Adax, Petrodynamics, there were very many of them. You go to transport, it's like a different environment completely. But as we speak now, because of that militancy, that's what chased those companies away from PH, and they all moved their offices to Lagos.
Wait, are you saying that Transomadi, PDL, Petrodynamics, all of they have all moved out? PDL.
I don't think they're all those people that know that. I was in Port Harcourt 2020, 2022. Transomadi is a dead zone. Adax is a dead zone.
Wow.
So, what am I trying to point out? Government failures lead result to more of instability. When government fails to do what they need to do, people rise up and they believe they exploit vulnerabilities. at the detriment of citizens, detriment of our future. And if this thing is not being controlled, just try to like extrapolate and see where we are currently. 10, 15, 20, 30 years ago, look at the variation. Then what will happen if we keep on moving at the same frequency, the same ratio, the next 10 years, 20, 30 years? I'm not sure there will be a country like Nigeria. Why am I saying all this? When people come and start telling us that they want to grab power as against good governance, I don't understand whether these people that see this trajectory, they're in this country, they're seeing this happening, these occurrences. Do they have do they actually analyze situations? These are people who are graduates. Graduates, and most of them are working in good places. But again, I still don't understand why human beings who are supposed to behave normal, like a normal human being, will be behaving like animals and lunatics. It's frustrating. And I think it might get to a point where those of us who believe that we still have sense, we might need to start attacking them, confronting them on one-on-one. If the government is not doing anything for us, I think we might apply that jumbo justice pattern. Where if you see people who are saying what is not right, you lynch them, understand? And then because it's like everybody needs to be mad. People need to be mad. We all need to be mad. And we need to start that madness with ourselves. You see a family where you have a sibling that is behaving abnormal because of crumbs, and you leave him, I will crush you. Because if I don't crush you, you are going to crush my children or my children's children in the future. Your actions and inactions, if I don't curtail it today, it will come back and haunt me and the entire family. Until we start having that kind of mentality and mentality, we are in for a big trouble. So in summary, let us make sure we fight this battle because we are in the phase where we are fighting for our life and for our future. We have children and we have subsequent generations. If we do not do the right thing and fight this last battle, this is the only chance we have. We must be ready to fight with our Lord. As long as we are resolute, and let us have clear objective, what we want to achieve. Let us have clear focus, clear direction. If we are fighting for good governance, if we have decided that, look, we are going for consensus, no primaries, let us be firm and let that be our watchword. We should not be moving out with divided options and opinions. Where today, most of us are talking about consensus, tomorrow we say primaries. Look, whether direct or indirect primaries, people will not make it. No matter the approach you adopt, as long as it's contested that you can't make it. So the only option he has is consensus. And they're not ready to give us consensus. It's a battle. If you move somewhere, even if it's going to a virgin party, please, if we so love their country and we are ready to make sure we have things right, let us make the sacrifices once and for all. What do I mean by that? If people today happens to move and go to a virgin party, please, let us all move and enter that virgin party with him. Let us be more radical. In terms of the numbers, we have the numbers. We have the knowledge. We have the intellectuals. We have the direction. We have what it takes to turn around our country. And these people making this noise, they are few. They are minority of the minorities. We should not allow them to be more here, to be more vocal than us. Fine, they have the medias, but again, we have the numbers, and we should be able to be ready to achieve the narrative at any point in time. What do I mean by this? In any environment, in any forum we find ourselves, let us not take anything that is not right for an answer. Let us pick up and try to make our contribution to change narratives. Thank you very much, and good night.
Well said, well said, well said. Yes. Thank you.
Wait, Tudo, let me just something real quick. Tudo, do you know that one thing that sets P2B aside from every other so-called candidate or aspirant, one big major difference is that P2B has spent more one-on-one time with ordinary Nigerians than any other aspirant that is aiming for to become the president of Nigeria. P2B single-handedly have had more engagements one-on-one. And let me tell you something. When the president of the country has spent enough time with the citizens, listening to their problems, listening to their concerns, listening to their issues, that is a burden that he carries in his heart every day. That is a burden that he is going to take to Aso Rock when the time comes for him to take his oath of office. That is a burden that he's going to spend his administration working on to fix. You do not see a situation where all the other aspirants engaging with regular Nigerians, spending time and discussing with regular Nigerians about their problems, about their issues, about their situations, and how they want those problems to be fixed. And I tell you why this is important. If you notice in the US politics, the big moments in campaigns, the big moments in election season is usually when those candidates visit with regular Americans. Back in Obama's election, Obama had spent, not that I'm, you're not a Democrat, but for now I'm a Republican, by the way. So, but Obama in 2008 had spent time engaging one-on-one with regular Americans, Americans of every shade, of every color, of every tribe, of every ethnicity. And that was, in those engagements, Obama ran into a lady called Lily Ledbetter. Lily Ledbetter is a woman that was working, I don't have the full story, but I know the kind of the big picture of the story is that this woman had been working in a company and she had been passed over and over and over for promotion while the male counterparts have been promoted and given better raises and are earning more than this lady called Lily Ledbetter. I remember for every stump speech Obama goes to, he always talks about Lily Ledbetter because he sat down and he ran into her during his campaign stops and she was able to tell him this predicament that she found herself. Obama carried that burden throughout his campaign. I know one of the first things Obama did when he went into office, he challenged the Congress to come up with a bill called the Lily Ledbetter Bill that will guarantee equal pay for equal work, no matter whether you're a man or woman. That is how democracy works. When your leader refuses to meet and engage with the population, how in the world is he supposed to know what problems to fix when he gets into office? How in the world is he going to? His problems are not the same problems that the citizens have. These guys are rich. They got money. They don't have problems of hunger. They don't have problems of lack of work. I mean, being unable to find work or unemployment. They don't have problems of how to pay their children's school fees. They don't have those problems. For them, that problem is non-existent. So if all these urchins on spaces that have problems with their families, with their career, with their profession, they can't find work, and they are cheering on these so-called politicians that haven't taken the time off their schedule to even meet with regular Nigerians to at least get some idea of what is actually ailing, what is actually the problems that Nigerians are facing. Because you can't go into office without knowing what problems you're going there to solve. You can't be the president of Nigeria when you don't have a clue what Nigerians are struggling with every day. But we have a whole bunch of these people clamoring to run for office, clamoring to run for presidency. And meanwhile, if you ask them to name the top 3 things, the top 3 challenges Nigerians are facing every day, the top 3 things graduates recently graduated students, university graduates are facing. Ask them the top 3 things our grandmothers and grandfathers in the village are facing. The top 3 things that our elderly, the retired population is facing. The top 3 things that females are facing in Nigeria, adult females are facing. I will bet you $1 million that these guys don't have a clue. But I can tell you who has a clue. It will be because he has been talking with a whole bunch of these people for the last couple of years. He understands what they feel. He understands their pain. And those pain that these people have shared with him, he carries those pains every day. And when I see him, sometimes people don't understand, but I put myself in his shoes from time to time. I can't imagine how much pain that this guy carries in his heart every day after engaging with thousands and thousands and thousands of Nigerians with painful stories that they shared with him. I bet you when this guy wakes up every day, he's not thinking about, I'm going to be president, I'm going to take out of office, I'm going to enjoy the privileges of. No, he's thinking of that lady he met 2 years ago, 3 months ago, 6 months ago, that has not had a job since she graduated from school more than 10 years. That she doesn't even make use of her certificate, her degree. Or the doctor in Usoka that graduated from ULAG, or that graduated from one of the universities, that has complained that where they work, they don't even have the basic medical facilities. They don't have the syringes. They don't have bandages. They don't have any facility for emergency response or emergency medical, emergency facility, emergency care. And when Peter Billy listens to this, you think that guy sleeps well at night? No, he doesn't. Because his heart is bleeding every day. It's bleeding. That's why sometimes when people say, oh, Peter Billy don't give up. No, he's not going to give up because he's carrying a heavy burden. A heavy burden that he really, really wants to fix. That's why when Peter B makes the comment, I'm not desperate to be president. I'm desperate to see Nigeria work. He knows what he's talking about. He's talking about those hundreds and thousands of people with painful stories that he has listened to. He wants Nigeria to work for them. He's desperate for Nigeria to work for those people. That is why you see him getting up every day. When you see him walking and moving the way he moves, people wonder why you know the rest. Why you know they do this? No, because he knows that there are still thousands of Nigerians out there whose stories need to be heard, whose pains they want to share. Because he is gathering all those news, all those stories, all those pains, all those tragedies that people have lived. Whether when he went to the IDP camps, when he went to people that have been driven from their communities in the northern states, and people say, oh, don't go there, you're looking for photo op. Oh, you're going. No, he's not. He's trying to learn the pain these people are feeling living in IDP camps. He's trying to understand the pain these people are feeling after having their families slaughtered by terrorists. He's trying to understand the pain these people are going through when they don't have classrooms. Children don't have classrooms. They're studying under the tree. He's trying to understand the pain because he knows that these are the information he needs to fix after he takes his oath of office. But instead, we have a whole bunch of the so-called aspirants that are just wanting to become president, just to answer president of Nigeria. And they don't have a clue what problems that needs to be solved. So I feel so, in a way, and to want to be this, I feel so pained a little bit, just thinking about Pio, thinking about all the pains and all the burden and all the tragedies that he carries in his heart every day. And I can't imagine how much he has to endure, how he sleeps at night. Because I can tell you for sure, when those tragedies are shared, and you all know this, a pain shared is a pain that you have split into two. You know, if you carry it by yourself, even if you're telling somebody and the person doesn't even implement the result or resolution for you. At least just being able to share with somebody has halved the pain that you're feeling. But that's not where P2B wants to stop. He wants to make sure that those tragedies are resolved. And it only takes the power of the presidency to resolve it, not the powers of the vice president. That is why PO is not going to be the vice president to nobody, because he knows the vice president is more like in fact, the wife of the president is more powerful than the vice president. Is it not in this, what state is that? Where the deputy governor, the wife was slapping the deputy governor. The wife of the governor was slapping the deputy governor. So you expect, even in Buhari's administration, his wife, Aisha, was more powerful than Osibanjo. So you want PO to be in an administration where Atiku's wife is going to be slapping him around all day, every day. You guys never start. So it's either PO or nothing. PO carries the burden. He has been taking the time to engage and learn the pains and the tragedies of Nigerians, learn where they are hurting, learn what challenges they are facing, learn what their problems are. And those problems, he's actually working hard every day to make sure that those are the things he's going to fix on day one, starting from day one, as soon as he takes he's not going to go on vacation. Let me tell you something. You think that Pierre is the kind of person that will go on vacation and spend 2-3 weeks in France or UK when he hasn't finished solving the problem of IDP camps or women that, the school children that don't have classrooms that are learning under the tree, exposed to the elements of the weather, exposed to rain, sunshine, and all that? You think he's going to spend 2 weeks or 1 week or 2 weeks or whatever in France when he knows that there are communities that are being slaughtered all across, and he knows what kind of pain they face when that happens? He's not going to do that. He's going to be making sure that that is the problem he solves every day. I wish Nigerians would just understand this simple logic that this guy just wants to solve your problems that you're facing every day. He wants to fix it. He wants your life to be prosperous like it should be, Nigerians. And that's why I keep on talking. That's sometimes when he talks about the Northern states, he said, look, the Northern states has got more land than even Netherlands, than even Singapore, that they can make it more productive, they can have more export, they can become more prosperous. That is where the rich is supposed. The basket is more even better than oil cash flow, the revenue from oil and gas. That's why it keeps on. And sometimes when PWB just keeps emphasizing on this and preaching and preaching and preaching, I feel so sad because you shouldn't have to go through this difficulty trying to explain to these people how he's going to help them solve the problems that he knows that they are facing. But he's still patient with them and still going about preaching and telling them how he intends to solve the problem. Now, for these idiots to come out and be saying that we don't know how to play politics, like the last speaker talked about, and we don't know how to play politics, that PWB is not going to be affected by the poor conditions or the bad governance. It's already made. It's just the pain he carries in his heart that he wants to make sure that he fixes for our sake. So I just like what we're doing. We keep preaching it. I mean, just like you said, Jehovah's Witnesses, you keep preaching and preaching and preaching. Hopefully, maybe the person, by the 10th time the person hears it, by the 20th time the people hear it, maybe that's when they're going to repent. But this is something that everybody needs to hear. Thank you. Appreciate you guys.
Well said. Thank you very much, Gospel. All right, let us take Affluence. You've been here for a minute. I don't know if you wanted to speak. Mr. Moses, you spoke before. I don't know if you want to add something. You cannot.
Yeah, just
Okay.
quickly, briefly.
All right.
I want to thank you guys, the host, co-host, and everyone who have been speaking here, who have been preaching the gospel. Then I was still driving when I spoke. I hope the young man was not offended, kind of. I want to encourage us to, most times, someone like me will come here to listen to ideas. It is not that I don't know, but listening helps you to learn more. And one of the things that pain me most is that An average Nigerian doesn't understand what good governance is. So when they are listening to this preaching, this gospel that you are saying here, it sounds so strange and very difficult to believe. Very difficult to believe that an ordinary person can hold their leaders accountable. Very difficult to believe that leaders move around without police escort and a lot of things. Very difficult to believe that the commonwealth that God have blessed the nation with, that they can enjoy it. It saddens some of us. So that's why sometimes when we speak, we'll speak with a lot of passion. It looks like anger. But the thing is, the first time I saw children, real life children, malnutrition, and that's what we call kwashiorkor. The first time I saw it in Nigeria was in Oben. In Oben, at that time, I was coming out of the week. By that time, Oben had the largest number of land rigs. Land rigs. And the community, adjoining communities in that town, children, I saw with my colleague, he's also in Canada. My colleague, young colleague I went with that, he started screaming. The Moses, look at this. Children living close to the oil wellhead. But hunger destroyed because again their farmland have been taken over and a lot of things. We are not holding our leaders accountable. That's why leaders will come out and brag how their children have graduated from Cambridge and all those things. And the reality also is that outside of government, there is no track record of work they have done or business they have run to become so rich. But you know, when we talk about this, a lot of people don't understand. And they feel like you are not saying the right thing. These are the leaders. These are not leaders. These are pretenders. They are stealing the commonwealth that belongs to over 200 million people. They keep people, you know, this guy, he said that in Imo State some time ago, that roaches have weaponized hunger. A Charlie boy. And that is what is happening in Nigeria now. They weaponize hunger, and at the end of the day, when you are hungry, you cannot even think right. They don't like people that talk like you because they know they cannot influence you. They look for those who are hungry. Some time ago, while I was in Port Harcourt, you know, I see young people as they all do this. I'm a politician. I'm following. How they follow my mentor? This is my politician. They follow. Before you know, they will fight for that person. You fight for that politician. The politician's son will be inside mansion playing game on computer or generator, but you will be outside. You will be outside fighting for him to keep him in power and in money. You know, so it's very painful what an average Nigerian are going through in the midst of plenty. You know, you talk about also how the kidnapping business thing started. And I experienced it while I was on the rig when they came in and all those. Again, it boiled down to people revolting, like the speaker said. People revolted in Niger Delta. How are you taking? And what did the government do? Did they solve the problem? No. What they did is give some few people money. Even the man you called his name after you talk about today, he's a billionaire. I think he has a university level. How did he get his money? Government they give him money to silence him. Instead of looking at, okay, I have also worked in Bayelsa as well. You know, a lot of things, people living on top of water and a lot of problem. Why don't the government use that money you are giving to one person to close his mouth? I think even in Delta State, one of them gave
the state governor, the state government 10 billion. A militant so gave government 10 billion. Why not government invest those billions in education? Why not government invest those money and make the people's life better? Build road. Even the average Nigerian is not even acting a lot. In the Western world, when you lose your job, government sustain you, give you money and all those. Average Nigeria is not even asking for that. Good school, good road, good hospital, place where people can walk. You know, you have the manpower. They said majority of our population is youth. They are youth, but there are no job. People roam around, and the government don't care. Why? Again, when you say that it will boomerang, they don't. They have insulated themselves with the police. The number of police that are around these people, kidnappers don't get close. So at the end of the day, it is those at the foot of the food chain. The common man, that's a person who is hungry. That is the person that will bear the brunt of the bad leadership because he is the person that they will kidnap. They cannot kidnap governor or whatever. They will kidnap that poor man on the street and they will go and gather the last they have to bail him. So again, I encourage this. Sometimes, like I said the last time, I sincerely appreciate what you guys do, and everybody come here. It is not that you don't have a job or you are lesbian. No, but because of the passion, listening to you, the passion, let Nigeria walk. And P2P, when we were campaigning for him in 2022, 23. We went to Anambra and say he's not going anywhere, give me another people laugh. And somebody I respect so much told me he's not going anywhere. And that is the average Nigerian. See a man who will go there and help the nation because leadership runs everything. The companies where you work, maybe you are North America or Europe, the company where you work, and you say you're a manager will just wake up one day, carry his bag and disappear, stay 3 weeks or whatever. And the company will think, no. Yeah, they go on vacation, but it is regulated vacation. They don't go every week. In fact, it's like what we have in Nigeria is like a visiting president. A visiting president. When a president should actively, because the president is a CEO, he is a manager. Actually, that's what people will be saying. Say, employ, you are employing, we employ. But in Nigeria, it's not like that. That president that is there, it is the people collectively say, okay, come and work for us. And you are accountable to the people. But the reverse is the case because they believe that it's not the people that employ them. They employ themselves by maybe the money they have to buy food and all those things. But we have someone and he is saying, don't give shishi. Because whether I like it or not, if P2B spends 1 billion or whatever billion to get his way into that place, what will he do? He want to take back, right? And that's the point. Making the system transparent is important. And I thank God for obedience that most of us spend. The truth is that we are not very coordinated, but we spend money so that at the end of the day, the load is not on the principal of the P2B, but it is shared thing. At the end of the day, we are not looking for appointment. I have never gone to apply for government job before. I've not followed anybody. But if the police system is working, you are safe. Because even if you make any amount of money you make, my brother, if those guys carry you, before you know it, they are calling 100 million. Before you know it, somebody died. At the end of the day, everything is wasted. So we need a working police. It's not The police, it's not police that help us to help people to pay ransom. No, it is police that is there to protect the people. The criminals are not more than the police. The criminals are not. It's just that again, number one, the police have not been trained. There's some police people that before they resume, they're already under the influence of alcohol. But I got you driving along that going to people, you see police checkpoints by the side, you see cooler, heavy cooler that's only in the morning, full with beer. No, that is not the police we want. We want the police that is responsible, that is properly trained. But training is critical. That will protect the people. When, like we also talked about Port Harcourt and what's happening in Port Harcourt, yes, the operational, yeah, you still have workshops. You still have workshop. All those companies they still have, but where things are run from is from Lagos because they have. Because in fact, when the whole thing started off, the first thing I had the white guys who were my supervisors. The first thing was they took them first of all to BI to be running things there, and that's how majority of all those companies they run it from Lagos. Who is suffering it at the end of the day is still the whole state because of insecurity. I will not blame the company because again, these companies, if you have been involved in looking at how local companies run in Port Harcourt in Nigeria, you see that they spend so much money. Even on all those mopo, they pay. It's not for free. When they say VIP, no, they spend heavy amount of money for their security. I'm not sure that an average company in the US is spending such money to run security. Where I work today, there is no security. If you are leaving the office, you just lock the door, set alarm, and go home. There's no security. So the company is spending zero amount of money. But in Nigeria, it's not the case. Mopo will be everywhere. If they are not everywhere, you can run. At the end of the day, you look at the overhead, look at the running cost, it's so high because of insecurity. But at the end of the day, what happened? This budget that is, the police budget, does it get to the police budget with them? Do they need to buy the vehicles and everything? Do they need to do training? So, when you present this with a lot of passion, a lot of people will not understand. They think that you are saying something that is not real. Please, it is real. And it can happen also in Nigeria. The only thing is, if we can, because we have seen it, if we can set aside tribalism. The last time I spoke, I said, Peter B is the first Igbo man that I have gone to the ballot. I'm in my 40s. I've been voting, taking this stance to vote. He is the first person I have gone and said, not necessarily because Igbo, but because I know that he has the track record. He said something. He said, if you and your family, you are not stealing, you have reduced corruption by 50%. If your family members are not stealing, you have reduced it. Now look at under Buhari, somebody painted Ethiopian airline with billions of naira. First of all, I think they used 600 billion to run is it design before they now how many billion to bring paint it as Nigeria Airways. At the end of the day, it came for photo op and flew back to Ethiopia. And so many things. Now look at Malami, and sometimes they say, some people will not say, no, he is in our party. So no, let's not do that. We were there when he pushed out the former EFCC chairman and said that every youth recovered will go to the office of the Attorney General. We were all there. So you have to account for those things. For me, put this aside, because he that comes to equity must come with clear hands. If we are saying that we want a new Nigeria, even if it is somebody within our camp had that record. I said last time that people don't change. You need to look at people's achievements. Okay, what has he done? 10 years ago, 5 years ago, he was doing something. What has he done? And now, why are you not saying you have changed? But 5 years ago, because if I know you personally, I know what you have done, I won't rate you if it is wrong. Don't come and tell me, no, I have changed. No, you must have a track record. Okay, I worked in this company, I did not steal. I did this business with this kind of person, and the records are there. Yeah, we can talk about it. And the reality is that you don't need we are not supposed to commit serious leadership roles into people that have no track record. You see, but I think in Ebonyi State now, Umahi's son is already having a campaign manager. They want to campaign. What has he done to become a local government chairman? What have he done? Where did he work? What leadership experience does he have to go now and become a local government in Nigeria is supposed to be running the primary school system and the healthcare system, a local government, but we don't have. And at the end of the day, the local government is not even existing. They just go there to share money and a lot of things. So leadership must be on track record. When this person is in this place, what has he done? So there are a lot of, again, you have said it over and over. It's a system that kills talent if you don't play according to the rule. I know someone who, even when Cheddar Money Manager, you know who Cheddar Money Manager is, when he was moving around saying they are going to give license to modular refineries. I know a man, if I mention his name, the guys here that say they work in Slumberg, they will know him. He invested all his savings because it was a senior, if all his savings into modular refinery. But what happened? They killed it. It never took off. So these are the point. So even there are many things have been there for many years. In terms of if you don't play the ball, they will kill your business. And nobody challenges them. They have the court in their pocket. You go to court, they will strike it out. So let's keep we are listening, and I believe that this message is going very far. And also those you have the space of influence, preach to them. It is not easy. Some of us who did it physically, and you see people challenge you and say, "Go and sit down. What are you talking about?" Because they don't value, they don't believe. I know somebody told me, he said, "Don't see who's forget it. Nigeria will never be well. Forget it. I will vote for Tinubu." That was the 2022. He said, "I'll vote for him." He said, "For Nigeria will never be well." That is his belief. And he voted him, and today Nigeria is going down. But I still have hope. If I don't have hope, I will not link up in this group and be listening and be inspired, and I'll be listening. If I have given up hope. Today we are having minus 40 degrees wind chill. Minus 40 degrees. Amen. For how long we won't do this one?
Yeah, there's a winter front that is coming to Houston. It's going to be here on Monday, and it's going to stay till, I think it's going to come here on weekend, and it's going to stay till Tuesday. Minus 20 degrees. 20 degrees, yeah, in Houston. So everybody's going around.
Yeah, but we're already enjoying minus 30, feel minus 41. It's unbelievable. It is not something that, in fact, I don't know how to describe it. So some of us wish that, because some years ago when Jonathan was there and things were like trying to take shape. It's not that things were the best, but things were trying to take shape. Some people actually relocated back to Nigeria I know some of them pick up job and begin to do. So if things begin to work, and the reality of the sad situation we have is that the majority of the people living are those in their middle age. They are supposed to contribute effectively to development, because you and I know that you can't live without resources. You can't live with empty hands, right? I know someone now, he's trying to leave and all those. He's area manager of the whole of West Africa, but he wants to leave on a lot of things. So you see the kind of people living, and the challenge sometimes, even when you leave, you go to the new place you are, you have to maybe start afresh or whatever. I have a friend of mine here. He was a very senior manager in UBA. When he came here, started off in a bank, a lot of things. Oh man! But these are people who by experience, by exposure, the foundation that should build not the Nigeria of tomorrow, but the Nigeria of today. The youth is the future of tomorrow. It's today is that future. When they say the youth, somebody in 18 years so is talking to you. You are in your 30s, you are in your 40s. I think was it yesterday that Trudeau was breaking down the years, the ages of those who have ruled Nigeria. I think it was yesterday. Was telling you this person was 29, this person was 35, this person was this, was yesterday. But today you see yourself, you are 40 years, but you see yourself like you are a youth, you are not capable. Because these people have put it in your head that no, you are not capable to do anything at 35. You need to serve in your 35, in your 40, in your 50, in your 60. Then when you are 70 or 80 years, that's when you are qualified. God forbid. P2B became governor very early, I think in his 40s, and we could see what he did. He wake up, a young man. The way I feel as someone who is in his late 40s, is it the same way as I was feeling when I was in my 30s? No, it's you know how things go with age, and you can't feel the same way. So someone in his 30 or 40 will wake up in the morning, feel great, where he's thing go. The management will study that the quality of a leader, because principles of management, majority of them is of a Japanese theory, and the principle is the ability of the leader to go and verify information. That will set you apart. Any leader. That's why Buhari will stay in Abuja and tell the police, IG say, you relocate to Benue, police will stay in Abuja. Because Buhari himself does not have the capacity to go and verify. The president went to Benue State and said because of bad road, he cannot go to where the thing happened. He cannot. And that's what he told Nigerians, that because of bad road. So how would you know what is on ground? And that's why we see when P2B was campaigning, he moved nearly everywhere. You don't do it in proxy. And I said it last time in one of the group. I said, bring your leader, that your leader you are pushing. Let him come. Get people, ask them questions. Tuto and Velele and everyone here, not only everybody, to ask questions, unscripted questions. In the last two leaders we have, they never allowed they never allowed the press ask them questions, unscripted questions, and that is how you will feel the pulse of the person who want to lead you. When you ask those thought-provoking questions, you listen to how he will react, listen to his perspective, and then you know I have a leader here. Unscripted, it's not the one they have already written and coached him. But what happened in Nigeria now? You have president said they are ruling the country. President said.
No,
president doesn't know.
Presidency, you mean?
Presidency from the presidency, and you don't know. So that is one thing we are sure will not happen when P2P is there. You will not be hearing those rubbish presidency from the president. You will hear how he feels. You will hear if he feels that if the youth are not happy, he will come out and address the youth. He will come to space and say, okay, gentlemen, this is what is happening. This is what I'm doing. And this is why presidency came out or police came out yesterday, 2 days ago, to deny that people were not kidnapped in the church. But it has been verified, have been confirmed, their names have been published, that over 100 people were kidnapped. Nobody was kidnapped. Can you imagine that kind of a thing happened in North America or in Europe? Citizens, you see what happened in I think Spain. There's already an inquest going on because of the train that crashed. You have to investigate. The prime minister go there. Everybody want to find out. But this one, no way. You wait 2 weeks. President will not say anything. or you'll be hearing presidents say, people will be going to media houses, you know, just for food. All those things, voila, for food. Nobody is convinced of what they are saying. I cannot today now. I'm speaking for P2B and I'm condemning, you know, what this company has. You know, this man, this other person is, look at his record. Tomorrow, when everything are now jumped there, because like someone said here, they cannot solve, most of them cannot survive 4 years without government patronage, without that food from government. They can't. That's why they are willing to change that any day, anytime. And obedience is different. And you know, for they have thought that obedience is just a wave. It's just a wave that will fizzle away in 2 years or in 1 year. But here we are, even more resolved, because we believe that it is possible to redeem Nigeria, to put a structure where the security, there is drone everywhere, but people hide inside the bush and kidnap people. But drone is something that someone can use it to go and look around. But the government will come out to know that the bandits, their own technology is bigger than government technology. That person is in a developed country, he will be sacked immediately because he spoke like a foolish person. The bandit is bouncing call, so he cannot track it. So I want to encourage us, let's not give up. Thank you very much. Thank you.
This before Malam and Gonsa Blaze will go.
Yeah, actually, Gonsa basically will go next. Malam, hang tight.
So I'm just going to inject this thing based on what this guy said. So the so-called people from the other camp always say, "Oh, it doesn't matter if it's dollar primaries. Peter, we should go and look for dollars and do whatever he needs to do so as to win the EDC primaries." Now, let me tell you something. Let me tell you something really important. And this is something that you guys have to remember to tell them when next they make comment like this. When you dollarize the primary, you establish the rules of the road, not just on the short term, but also on the long term. When you dollarize the primaries, you create a support base whose affinity will be for the dollar. You create a support base whose affinity and support for you will be dependent on the dollar. And as long as that electric potential, that potential is there for the affinity for dollar is there, they will trend towards where the dollar is the highest. Now, you think it's going to end in the primaries? No, sir. It will follow to the general election when there will now be a bigger dollar capacity potential in Aso Rock. So tell me, if you establish the rule with the AC primary, which is you establish the rules of dollarizing elections, be careful what you wish for, because when you go into the general election with Tinubu, Tinubu has more dollars than whoever is going to be running against him. He has the treasury of Nigeria, and nobody is going to beat Tinubu dollar for dollar. So let's not set the rules of the election season by dollarizing it. Let's make sure that we do it right and make it not to be dollar based, because when we set the rule to make sure that this election season is going to be dollar based, it will go all the way to 2027. And guess who is going to win when the rules is about dollarization? We know that Aston Rock with the treasury will beat whoever comes up with big bag of dollar, you put it hands down. So I just wanted to kind of highlight this. P2P is smart. P2P is wise. P2P does not want to set the rule of dollarization. That's why he said negotiation. Why negotiation? Because he doesn't want his support to be based on how much he doles out, how much he pays. Because if he makes it like that, then that will follow through to the general election. And then Tinubu will be able to buy over all P2B supporters 100 times over with the Nigerian treasury. That is why P2B is smart not to say, no, they give shishi. If you want to support, let it be organic. And that's why your support is organic. Thank you.
All right. Well said, well said, well said. Guns to blazing. Welcome, welcome.
Hey,
How far?
So I do. Greetings to everybody.
Welcome.
Greetings to the house. Now, well done. No, I was trying to come.
Maybe I dey vex for you. I dey vex for you. You just abandon me on this road, eh? Now so you go do me.
Jesus.
Eh?
Jesus. Who abandoned you?
I'm so sorry.
It's my sister now. Can't you see that sweet voice this morning? They've taken me to the rigs. They've taken me to the well. They've taken me everywhere. Eh?
know, I
Everything
was
that I
trying.
don't understand.
Hope they didn't dump you in the well.
I was trying to join.
Hope they didn't dump you in the well.
Were you here when we prayed?
Sorry?
Say again.
No, I asked
Mommy,
you.
no, hope you enjoyed our prayer. Did you hear about our prayer? My friend, go and sit down somewhere. Let my sister talk, John. Let me enjoy a feminine voice. Since you people have been talking. Let her talk, I beg you.
Sorry, I really try to join every time, but multitasking, puzzle, person they also for money now. At the same time, we're gonna need money to run this election, right? Right. So I did double my hustle, in between. I joined earlier. I wanted to when you guys were singing, I think it was Malam Eze and Tuda. I was like, oh my god, see sonorous voice now. Eh? Singist in the house. I was like, wow, you guys should make that into a what's it called? You guys need to make it into a short music for Peter Obi's campaign. I'm serious, Malamize, you have voice, so you and Tudo should get together. I remember I heard Tudo say I will be on the keyboard and you will do the singing or whatever. And then Tudo now introduced another verse. To tell you, I was listening, I was like, oh my, this is wonderful. When I actually truly get together and do that, even if it's just for us here, we will really enjoy it. I personally will use it on my own channel. So Tudo, I did bank on you. Now that one will be my entry campaign song. You and Malamezi, more than get together, enter studio. That's one thing I wanted to say, that you guys should make it happen. Now, AI don't make it easy for everybody, so you can actually do that. However way you guys want to do it, but please, you guys should consider doing it. And then the other thing I wanted to say, maybe I'm late on this. I wanted to say that when I hear say they don't introduce Islamic financing, am I late to the party? I me just the hear that one.
Yeah, I saw that.
Okay. Now, okay. And then I don't know if you guys listened to the interview of that year Baba Ahmed elder brother, what he was saying, and how he was. I mean, I listened to the interview. I'll be honest, it's kind of a little bit upsetting. I found it a little bit offensive, but I don't want to, I don't want to say anything that's going to make it sound like I'm coming for him, which that's not my intention. I just want people to not distract us from our stance on Peter Obi. If there was ever any doubt, about the support for Peter Obi, I think it has finally cleared for a lot of people. Now there are two things now that I've been hearing on social media where some people are talking about complete division because people are dying. Trudeau, everybody on this space, people are dying every day in Nigeria. We are not at war. Literally, you wake up every day, people are dying. I just found out that 20 people died somewhere in Katsina or something like that. Every day, people are dying. It is two things. It's either we divide this country, clean cut, let the North, the Sharia believing, Islam loving people go their separate way, right? Because I know I'm educated, I've been educated enough to now understand that the North is not just made up of only Muslims. Okay. So the other people that don't want all of this, they should figure it out how they want to separate themselves. We must have that this conversation needs to be a part of it. For me now, it's about complete and total division. Let everybody answer their father's name to save lives. Or because I don't know, and I may be wrong. Maybe my perception about this is a bit skewed. I don't know, but you guys can correct me. I think I'm suspecting, I could be wrong, that they're going to pull up a trick. They're going to pull a trick out and find a way to truncate this election. I don't know. I just have that feeling. I don't know. Maybe it's me that I'm overthinking it. I don't know. But that thing is in my head that this man, Tinubu, I don't think you guys understand how desperate this man is. I don't think we understand how desperate he is, that he wants to remain in power. You guys don't understand. This man needs the second term. He's ready to do any and everything. No, you guys don't understand. He's ready to do any and everything. So let us be prepared. Let's prepare our minds for the worst that this man is going to throw out there. He's desperate to get that second term. Something tells me he has some tricks up his sleeves, and something might happen. I don't know. We'll play it by ear and watch the space. Now, if election really goes on and happens, because I'm hearing rumors, not cast in stones yet, that they're thinking of doing elections in February. Okay, if that happens, right, in February, and ADC gets their act together because they want their party to win and give it to Peter Obi. If Peter Obi comes in, we must have, that's the only way, that's the only other option I see that's going to work for us as Nigerians. It's either divide or Peter Obi comes in and we have this conversation. And somebody made a comment on my my YouTube channel and said, how are you so sure that the people around him, around Peter Obi, you know, the Islamic terrorists, because they've not gone away, right? They're still around, are going to allow, or they're not going to try to frustrate Peter Obi. I don't see that happening. I really don't. I think Peter Obi is a man of steel. He looks like a pleasant person outside, but inside, that man is made of iron. Okay. I don't see that happening, but somebody shared that concern, and I thought about it. I'm like, that's a possibility. So that means that we all need to be ready, because we have to be thinking everything now. There's no time. We have to also have conversations with him when he gets there. We need to have a national conversation as to the way forward. Well, I think maybe I'm getting ahead of myself, you know, at this time, but I'm concerned. I'm going to just put it out there, because this man is capable of doing anything. Not that I'm afraid of him. It's just us. Are we ready? Are we really ready to take on this beast? Because this man is more than a beast. Are we ready? Are we really ready? You know, and it's not just depending on those in Nigeria, because Nigerians have been beaten down. Those in my heart goes out every day. I read the news about Nigeria. My heart literally, you know, bleeds. It just bleeds every time. It bleeds. And I'm sure all of us that are concerned about Nigeria, one way or the other, we're traumatized by everything that is happening. You know, some of us have to come out every time to talk about these issues. That's part of our own healing, but it's not. It's what we're going through is not a good thing. You know. So again, let me come back to the real topic of the day. It still is Peter Obi or nothing, and let nobody shake on that stance. I think in the interview with Ahmed, that his other brother, he said, "Oh, you know, we can consider, you know, other candidates." You know, he was really talking about Amechi, talking about, you know, Atiku. You know, he kind of downplayed Atiku. Was like, okay, you know, then maybe we can consider a candidate from the West. I'm like, if it is not Peter Obi from the East, forget about it. I don't want to hear. I don't know. I don't want to hear he looked like, he talked like, he walked like. It has to be PO or nothing. If that man does not have it, forget about it. We don't want. Instead of that to happen, let's divide Nigeria. May everybody go their separate ways. We've had enough. We need to be thinking about saving lives now. Too much is going on. And by the way, did you guys hear? It turned out to be a rumor that Reverend Dachomo had some liver disease. Is it liver or kidney or whatever? Somebody had put it out there. The man came out and
I said that.
yeah, you said it? Okay.
No, I saw it. I saw it.
You saw it. Okay. He has come out to debunk it. There's nothing like that. People are wishing him ill. Can you imagine? People are wishing this man ill. You know, and this man is going through a lot. Do you realize when the Reverend Achumo is talking, you pay attention to his eyes? That man has seen things that any normal human being should not see in this lifetime. That man has seen so much. You look in his eyes, all that screaming and the way he does his eyes is not from trauma. But anyway, I don't I don't want to be a Debbie Downer. I just want to remind us that it is still Peter B or nothing, or we divide the goddamn country. We divide everybody enter. Let the middle belt go, let the west go, let the south go, let the southeast go. Everybody enter your father's house and go and think about how you people want to move forward. That's how I see it. Because there's no way around it, you know. Anyway, enough of that. Mona, enough of the music. Now that one be the most important thing for all of it. Mona, forget my ranting. I just had to share that so that we will consider that. But Mona, do that. Mona, make that music happen. I beg, please. I beg you guys.
All right.
Thank you so much.
Thank
It
you.
or nothing.
We'll put it on that advisement. Tons of blessings. I appreciate that. Hold on, Pio. Yeah. So the news about Islamic finance reporting. It's nothing really crazy. I mean, look, it's subject to interpretation by. I know the first thing that comes to mind when people hear something like that is, we go straight to, the I word, Islamization. But honestly, what it really is, and according to the statement that the government gave, so they want to integrate Islamic finance reporting into our overall, or to include rather, so they're not replacing our conventional reporting that we already have at the moment. So when it comes to in terms of the standards, so the Nigerian Financial Reporting Framework, that they have an acronym for it, the NFRF, and then they have the other one, Reporting Council of Nigeria, FRC. So what they're saying is that they want to integrate Islamic reporting because we're already offering Islamic financial instruments like Sukuk bonds, for instance, is an example of that, which was what the federal government issued recently alongside other loans. So whenever the government issues a bond, that concept for a while, and it appeals to a certain demographic. And the reason is because majority of Muslims, hardcore ones, want to their belief and faith to reflect also in their financial practice. So they have this concept of Sharia, which relates to in regards to finance, and the underpinning idea is no riba, which is no profits. Ehen. So they will say things like that. Or interest free, something like
So
that.
you're rocking. I can hear you.
Can anyone hear me? Can you guys hear me?
Loud
I
and
can
clear.
hear you.
Loud and clear.
Okay, Chris, you are the only one. Let me drop you and bring you back.
Yeah. Loud and
So
clear.
yeah, so for people of faith, it's the Islamic faith who are hardcore believers. The Sharia practice appeals to them, right? So they want to please Allah in that regard as well, because the Quran says no interest, interest free. form only. Think about it. If their banks exist to be giving interest-free loans, how do they make money? Eh? How so are they charity organization? Are they just there to be giving out money free and then you go use their money and then you come back and give it to them the way you took it? Is that why they're set up? No. So on the surface, like I said, it has that um appearance. Like it has that appearance of okay, interest free, blah blah blah. And they have some other Islamic words that they use, but they are only interest free in form, not in economic impact. So your sukuk and your Islamic banking, they on the surface, the way they design the document, the agreement, they try to avoid the part where conventional banking will show interest and everything. But yet they still generate predictable returns through many of the other asset-backed profit sharing structures. Many of their companies, with their structures, they still give dividends. They still, do all these other things that conventional banks do at the end of the day. So the difference again is on the surface, it looks like there is no interest upfront, but in the details and in the inner workings, is the same shit. But hey, if I'm a Muslim and I'm really obsessed with pleasing Allah and try to do Islamic finance and Sharia finance, it appeals to my sensibilities. And it makes me feel like I am doing the right thing and pleasing the will of my God. So the Nigerian government has been trying to tap into that demographic, not just domestically, but internationally. So they are trying to make Nigeria a hub. Remember, Nigeria is a member of OIC. Now, I was explaining this yesterday on Valera Space. Being a member of the OIC is not just to the way we see it, it's deep. Because now you benefit from the financial architecture that the organization provides. You can get loans, a lot of pension programs, a lot of other things that member countries can benefit from. It's like a club. So once you belong in that club, and there are non-Muslim, there are majority Christian countries that have been members since Cameroon, Benin, Gabon, many of them, and they remain Christian, 90-something% Christian. They've not changed. They've not become Muslim countries. They are still there because they see that there are certain benefits to being part of that club, even though they are exclusively OIC, Organization of Islamic Countries. So what am I saying? You have to see it from a business standpoint. The Nigerian government feels that there is something here. If we tap into this market, right, we could attract a lot of lenders who see our country as a hub for Islamic banking. So if there is a rich Islamic person out there in the world, the way they've been attracting FPI, right, foreign portfolio investment, that Muslim person, that sheikh who has money and is thinking, okay, I want to please Allah, I want to do Sharia banking. Which countries can I put my money? And he sees Nigeria and he sees our high interest rate, even though that's not what he's going for on the surface. Remember, hey, no interest. Okay. But then he wants to still invest his money in a Sharia kind of way. So Nigeria government wants to present Nigeria as a hub for Islamic banking. So that is why they now say they'll be including Islamic financial reporting in our overall financial reporting. So that's really what is going on.
Well, isn't that a roundabout way of inviting the worst of the terrorists to come invest in your country?
Absolutely.
I see how you flowery.
I mean, look, me, I'm just explaining on the surface, but hey, a lot of things can be done with that shit. Like,
exactly.
I'm talking terrorism financing, I'm talking money laundering, I'm talking
drug trafficking.
In the name of the Lord, in the name of Allah, in the name of Sharia.
Exactly. And we know with the way Nigeria is right now, terrorists every day, unaliving people.
It is a terrible time. The timing could not be more off.
Already suspicious, highly. Then you add this.
Yeah.
There's no, how do you gain the people's trust? And you want the Nigerians to speak well of you, you want them to talk about the country. There's nothing good to talk about. Nothing. I show speed come. He said you now state this Lagos they smell. I never see anybody they cry for timeline. They say go back to where you came from. When they talk and now
You can't say that to him. Oh. It's ourselves who say it too. They don't say it too.
exactly. You understand? Is it not true? You know, so I mean, it's to me, it's
Yeah, it's very crazy, and again, it shows how tone deaf and how disconnected, nonchalant. I mean, use all the words you can use to describe this government. They don't care. They don't care about you. They don't care. And I think that if we're going to roll the dice and say this thing that they're introducing, is there a back door somewhere for something? Absolutely, absolutely. Especially at the time we're talking about terrorism financing or talking about this other thing. Are you creating a loophole? All the people that Trump has been accusing of financing, terrorism financing, and all of that. Are you creating a loophole for them? Are you creating a back door somewhere for them to say, okay, we're not financing terrorism, we're just doing sukuk. And we're doing
exactly that's what they are creating. If you honestly, if there's nothing that's off limits, probably that's what they're secretly creating. Like let's create this avenue so that all the money laundering, don't you see that all the criminals that they are freeing up from America, they're sending them back to Nigeria. Don't you see them spraying big money rain in Nigeria, money in our water, dollar, bondo. They see them. And you think all that money is coming from? It's not from all their illicit trading, drug trafficking, money laundering, and all kinds of fraud that you can think of that they're getting the money from. So it's an uphill task for us as Nigerians to really, really take this country back. This is why I think we should think way outside of the box. We shouldn't just, this is not intended to, make you feel any type of way to do. As you're speaking your English, because you have a way of your baby grammar. As you're speaking the English, also, as you're speaking it, we need to think outside of the box. We need to think like criminals also. I don't understand. Read or maybe watch a movie about the drug traffickers of the world or something. I'm telling you guys, because this man is ready to do anything to remain there. You hear what Gumi has come out to say. Gumi says, he's ready to declare war. Oh, who? I'm asking, please. Does anybody know who Gumi wants to declare war on? On who? In the same country. If I had said that, right? If anybody here had said that, you see DSS all over it. But this one is walking free, and you have the likes of Nnamdi Kanu, love him or hate him, still locked up. So we gotta really think outside of the box. Apart from speaking this English, we need to look at inside as ninjas. Tudo, you be ninja.
No. I mean, listen. I'm with you all the way. I believe you. I agree with you. But I just needed to provide that explanation. I work in finance. I know in inner workings of some of these things. So on the surface, I needed to explain what that whole equation was all about, right? And so that if people in government maybe are listening, they can understand that we see through their bullshit. Like we understand the explanation that they are offering, but then on the back end, it's not that simple either. I mean, if Kumi brings, I don't know, $1 million and say he wants to put it into sukuk bond that the government is offering, who is going to question the source of that money? Who is going to say, or like the way it's done in other countries of the world? Who is going to say, where are you parking this money from? And then by the time he wants to, by the time the bonds mature and he wants to withdraw that money and then move to other account, so you can wash the money. Whatever money you're bringing in, you can wash it through these government programs that they're offering. All we're saying is that, listen, the government they have to be cognizant of the environment that we find ourselves, right? And this announcement, if people had before now any kind of So see where we're coming from with Christian genocide and all of that, and the Islamization and everything. And if there are so many question marks regarding that conversation, and then you come in and you do something like this, and you don't even try too hard to allay fears, to reassure people that, hey, it's not what you're thinking, or we're just here trying to do business, then it shows that you don't really care about your citizens. That's all I'm saying. But it doesn't still stop us from providing the textbook, the classic definition of some of these things. But I hear you. I agree. All right, let's move forward.
Let me,
Okay.
this is a strategy, okay? If Tinubu wants to buy, let's say, if Tinubu wants to take over LNG, or if Tinubu wants to take over, let's say, airport, like or if Tinubu wants to take over the seaport, okay? People are not going to be happy. People are going to like that. It's going to say, you can't buy the seaport, you can't take over the seaport. I don't care if you have all the money in the world. People are going to resist. But what he can do is to say, okay, hey, you know what? Government can really fund these infrastructures. So this infrastructure need to take a loan from Sukuk to fund the ongoing expenses for LNG, the ongoing expenses for the airport, the ongoing expenses for the port authority, because government don't have money. We're looking for money. So instead, he's going to now take that money should have used to buy LNG and airport and port authority or whatever. He's going to put it into the Sukuk. The Sukuk is going to actually provide the funding for this infrastructure, this government establishment, whether it's LNG, airport, port authority, or whatever. But based on the rule of Islamic banking, after the maturation, the portfolio of assets returns to the Sukuk lender, to the lender. So at the maturation, at the end of the tenure, the assets, whether it's LNG or the airport or the port authority, now returns. Before it returns, before the end, they're going to be getting money, what they call the rental profit, making so that they're going to be profit sharing. So if the LNG makes, let's say, $1 billion, they can have their arrangement whereby Tinubu gets 60% of that, and LNG keeps 40% of that throughout the term. And when this whole thing expires, the Sukuk law or the Islamic financing law, the LNG becomes the ownership of the person that provided the Sukuk money, and that's Tinubu. So he's actually paying for it and buying it without anybody stopping him. So he can buy the airport, he can buy the port authority, he can buy the LNG, he can buy anything he wants. All he has to say is, "Oh, government can't fund it. Government don't have to fund it. Instead, let's fund it through Sukuk." And he funds it through Sukuk, and he makes money throughout the tenure of the loan or the debt of the holding period. And then at the end of the tenure, boom, it becomes his assets. So I guess he's playing one of the criminal mind games, and Nigerians are sleeping on it. That sucks, really. It sucks.
Anyways, look, it is what it is at this point with these guys. Anything is possible. I'm not going to put anything past them. They're full of shit. They're not there to govern. They're there to just wreck our country. Wale Adun goes to Davos, Jumoke Oduwole as well, and the rest of the gang, and they're lying. They're lying through their teeth that Nigeria is safe for business, Nigeria is this, that, and the third. As a Nigerian, you listen to them. I mean, look, Davos, I don't give a shit about Davos. It's a talk shop. People just go there to make meaningless speeches. Now they go to open a Nigerian house. What is that about? What is it for? Now that's another corruption funnel right there. What is Nigerian house for? What the heck is that? Nigerian house in Davos. Who they live for Davos? Who they stay for? Like Davos, what we say, residents they come out. Whenever these guys come, you rent out your apartment for people to stay there. Nobody wants to stay in Davos. It's a shitty place. Anyways, well, these guys keep creating, funnels, corruption pipelines. That's what they keep doing, right? Keep lying to themselves. People are dying in the country every day.
like Guns of Prison is saying, right? People are getting kidnapped every day. People are getting ransom payment. Terrorists are openly making, contractual agreements with the states openly. You go out there and you lie that ease of doing business. Ease of doing business. How? It's a shame, man. It's a shame. All right. Anyways, look, we all know what we're doing. They can keep lying to themselves, and they can keep trying to prop up the country to those investors. Those investors are not stupid, but they will take the risk anyways. Because hey, how many? Even for emerging economies, right? Nigeria is in the low end of that band. I mean, the interest rates that the CBN is offering, they're high. They're very high. All their treasury bills and OMO bonds and all that shit. So, if you have some considerable amount of money and you want to invest in the emerging markets, even for a shitty place like Nigeria, you might want to take the risk, right? And I always try to emphasize to our people that it's just hot money. You're not really interested in building anything. Like, you're not there to build factories, to build industries, just there to capitalize on. So our economy has been financialized, right? We have turned our economy into financial assets. So we're more interested in the financial economy as opposed to the real economy. Economics 101, right? So instead of the government investing in the real economy, it's offering, products to investors so they can keep attracting capital inflows.
What kind of products? What products to do? Where's the product?
No, I'm talking financial products like bonds that we're talking about.
Okay.
Because they can issue bonds by fiat. They don't need to do anything. It's not doesn't you need to go and carry firewood or
you're going to
or nail
going
anything.
too far.
Just issue it. Because you can. You're a state. You can issue bonds, right?
You have bloody criminals. Bloody fucking criminals.
Okay. Justice hindsight. Let's be fair to Malam. Let's be fair. He's been itching to jump in. Anyways, look, I could talk about this all day. Nigeria is the worst when it comes to finance and economics. Like, all the things where you learn for school, man, you go be like, hey, what kind of a situation is this? Right? Because it don't make sense. It don't make sense at all. Anyways, Malam, jump in, I beg.
Jesus.
Oh, make me my
Yeah. So quick one before I get it again. Deuteronomy chapter 1, verse 6 said, "The Lord our God said to us at Horeb, you have stayed long enough at this mountain."
Can you jump to the part where we fight for us? Because me, I'm tired of fighting.
Yeah. So look at what he said. Again. He said, break camp, and advance into the hill country of the Amorites. You talk about fighting, where you fight for us. So he's already pushing us to break camp into the Amorites. I went to the camp of the Amorites.